Not the same. And it's so crazy that you like listening to me and then Scoops and Millennial, because it's totally different. I mean, but you see, I feel like no one can ever answer that. Like, which was it? Was it a con or was Gypsy sick? Which one? I mean, which y'all's opinion? What do you, like, really, we don't have to fight about it. Like, let's talk about it. Do you think it was a con or do you think Gypsy was really sick? I think it's important to I think it's important to challenge your brains a little bit and not. I think it was both. It can't be both though. Like, if she was sick, then she was sick. If it was a con, it was a con. How do you think it was both? Or, and maybe it could. Maybe enlighten me on why you think it was both. How do you think it was changed? To me, if it was a con, it was always a con then. Well, that's why I don't think it was necessarily a con. I think that it was that Dee Dee had a mental illness. I don't think that Dee Dee saw it as her conning people. Like, I think Dee Dee saw it as, I don't think she saw it in the same way that any of us can really understand completely, because of it being a mental illness. Like, I think that, like, speaking to family members and stuff, like, I think that Dee Dee was really hurt by not only her father, but also by Rod. I think that when her mother died, that's when she really started to spin out of control, people said. And I think that she losing her mom made her pull Gypsy in closer. And I think in a way, even though I think psychologically she was doing these things for her own, wants and needs of, like, for her, the attention she wanted and stuff. But I think it even went further than that. I think that she, in a way, wanted to protect Gypsy from the world because she was hurt. And I think that parents know, I'm not a parent, but I'm sure if you're a parent, that even though you don't want to let your kid out into the world, a part of you wants to just, keep them a child forever. You know that you have to. I absolutely have empathy for Dee Dee. I think, like Jeanette said, that Dee Dee also was failed. I think that by people turning their cheek to it, I think by even her own family, and friends, not just her family and friends. I have a document that I got from Gypsy, that I got from Gypsy, where this person recalls them living with her and seeing Gypsy walk sometimes, and why would you not say something? Why would you not do anything? And I'm not blaming that person. You can't put blame all on one person, to be honest. The blame goes on everyone collectively in the system in general. I think I hate that Dee Dee died the way she did. I think that it was preventable. And I think it had been preventable for years. But her being sick also presented an opportunity to gain support. Yeah, but how was she sick? Having a lazy eye isn't being sick. Having microcephaly doesn't make you sick. Having low muscle tone, barely having low muscle tone, doesn't make you sick. She also lied and said she had cancer. Or having cavities doesn't make you sick. What do you mean, come on, Brie? Come on, wait, so does a lazy eye make you sick? This doesn't help her. What do you mean this doesn't help her? What doesn't help her? I'm asking questions. You're saying you think that she was sick, but how was she sick is what I'm asking. Because you said, but her being sick also presented an opportunity to Dee Dee to gain support. I don't think her motivation was rooted in money. You want to know why I don't think that? I think that it became something that she could, that was a bonus, basically. And I'm going to point out two different reasons why I believe that. One, the first half of Gypsy's life, like up until she went to Missouri, well, not up until she went to Missouri. I would say up until she was probably around maybe 12, let's say. I don't know the exact age, but there was no charity type things. She wasn't getting money they weren't going on all these trips yet. So like that whole time, like she wasn't gaining anything. And then after the fact, a lot of times when Dee Dee, almost every time, pretty much every time that she raised money, it was for her to get to and for the medical conferences they would go to. So, like, that's not even... And then as far as, like, the house, like, the reason that they got a house was not because Gypsies had disabilities. It was because they were refugees from Hurricane Katrina. Her mother presenting her to have disabilities might have got her noticed and got her there helped faster. But, I mean, many people were helped by organizations like Habitat for Humanity after Hurricane Katrina. So that had nothing to do with her being in the state that she was in. Right, that's how they got the ramp, exactly. Do you want that conversation, or are you going to get angry on me? Wait, what? Do you want what conversation? No, all her illnesses... Okay, to me, what is an illness to you? Like, disabilities or like... That's what a lot of people like in the wording is important. Words matter. And her illness is due to... Okay, like, to me, having a lazy eye isn't an illness. And no, not everything links to her microdeletion. Do you know that... Like, no person is going to have every single symptom of a microdeletion. Like, there's gonna be and also no two people will be the same. So what was noted was that she had microcephaly. That is from the microdeletion. That never impacted Gypsy in any way as far as like her living and being a normal person. Her strabismus. Her having surgeries, it didn't prevent her from necessarily going blind. That's one thing that can happen, but it kept her eye. I know a lot of people like to make fun of it, but there are some people whose eye goes all the way in, and it doesn't ever like look normal, so to speak. Now, had Gypsy not had the surgery, her eye could have possibly been like that. Which again, she still would have been able to live a normal life. Let's see what else. Paralysis literally is not linked to microdeletion at all. And she wasn't really paralyzed though, so we know that. Hypotonia is a hallmark symptom of almost every single chromosome disorder. And all that means is that you need to be you need to actually be, if you have hypotonia, you're going to want to move more because it takes more for you to have, strong legs and strong arms. So yeah, I don't think that what Gypsy had was necessarily illnesses. To me, there's a difference between an illness and I don't know what you would call it, a disorder, or like, I guess you could say a disorder. And I don't think all illnesses, should keep you like isolated and, confined. But, okay, what are you talking about then? And yeah, I'm not going to yell at you while you're trying to come up on a panel. You can come up on a panel. Okay, what are you talking about then? You said you're not talking about her lazy eye. You're not talking about microcephaly. What are you talking about then? Exactly, side effects from a condition, not an illness from it. Right, but it's strong muscle tone. What do you mean, what is strong muscle tone? No, she didn't have any muscle weakness, but she had slightly low muscle tone. But I can't. I'm just waiting for Allison to answer because, okay, so she said she's not talking about microcephaly. She's, people say hers mainly affected her GI tract. You see, and I don't know if that's necessarily true because in my opinion, I don't think she ever needed, well, I don't, you know what? Let me go back a second. I think she did need the feeding tube only because her mother made it to where she needed the feeding tube because Gypsy was perfectly capable of eating on her own. When her mother had a bad car accident, she stayed with her grandparents and they stated themselves that they had no problem with her eating. Yet the swallow test she did was right around that time and she failed her swallow test. But again, when your mother is telling you, and a lot of, and this is the part that you have to like, that you have to just, you have to go off of somebody's word. And it is kind of sad that that's like telling some, like, say if somebody was abused when they were younger and they can't, of course there's nothing they can prove necessarily. Like, say if somebody was raped when they was younger, like, and you'd be like, oh, but you're just saying that. We don't know if that was true. Like, I mean, that's the same thing. Like, if her mother got her to sit in a wheelchair without any problem, you don't think her mother got her to act like she can't swallow? Like, that would have been pretty easy if you ask me. But let's just say, because I'm all about being like, there's always those maybes. Let's just say she did need the feeding tube, even though that is a very, very common thing in Munchausen by proxy. The mother or the caretaker will try to get that. But let's just say she needed it. When she gained the weight, and she was gaining weight just fine, and she was also eating food, she had no problem. She suddenly could swallow. I mean, she couldn't at one point, but now she all of a sudden could. Why did her mom continue to keep the feeding tube in her? That's the question you have to ask for that. But, not being destructive, just having a convo with you. Oh, wait, I don't know what you said. Let me see. Argument? All I heard, Allison, all I saw you say was argument. Allison, you never said, yeah, I don't mind y'all coming up. Like, I would love to have a good discussion because to me, like I said, this does go beyond. I think that understanding this case, not the murder, I'm understanding this, the medical, what was going on medically. I think understanding it is what will help people to understand and be able to look around them and notice red flags. But if you're dismissing everything and you don't challenge yourselves, then, I mean, it kind of makes it hard for you to, like, think the way that we should be thinking when the situation arises where something could be a red flag and you're like, if you're constantly telling your brain, no, doctors wouldn't do that, no, this wouldn't happen, no, this wouldn't happen, it blocks off the ability to be able to notice those things. But yeah, you can come up. Wait, I don't want to come up with anyone else? Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, you don't have to come up with anyone else, but Amy Bones is not a pro-Gypsy person. So, hold on one second, y'all. Wait, it has, but more people are coming to know it. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's damage control. No, she's not. You know how many times not beg her, I would never beg her, but you know how many times I presented the idea to her from me, because I do know a lot about this. I know a lot about this, a whole entire case, both ends, before this murder, after this murder, all of that. And she's like, it just doesn't even matter. You know, people are going to believe what they want. So how is she in damage control? But, Allison, you want me to invite you up, or do you want me to add boxes so you can request a box? Let me see. And I promise, I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to yell. Despite what people think, I actually can have a conversation. And I think the piece that has been starting to happen between the sides, so to speak, I think has helped me also to take a step back and be like, all right, Bree, just calm down, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, let me make sure I can hear you. Okay. All right, you're up here.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Okay. So I don't know where you want to start with anything that I said,
Well, I know we were
but
saying, go ahead.
well, no, I want to like up front. I kind of have to separate like my two hats as far as like my work is in PR, so it's been a whole other thing watching Gypsy work around this whole thing the last couple years and the PR realm, and a lot of my opinion on
So what do you
anything
mean by
having
that as far as the PR realm?
because for
Because I can tell you
instance,
this,
like,
Gypsy never had a PR. She had a PR team one time, and
yeah,
I actually hate that she paid them as much as she did because there was no. The only thing they did for her was answer like emails, scheduled things. Like they never approached anything that was happening on social media the way that I think it should have been approached. So she's just really a human being thrown out into the world and navigating it on her own, basically.
well, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know how that like scenario went. I could during that period of time while she had that team, and I know that team. Um, I think I kind of concluded at the end of it that um, you kind of have sometimes, especially in a crisis mitigation type relationship, you can have somebody that's freaking out so bad because it's their own personal world and career that's getting fucked up. Like, you can have somebody freak out so bad that they literally just cannot take the direction that you give them because they feel like you don't know them as well as they know them, or you don't know the situation as well as they know it, or stuff like that. That was kind of the feel I got around that at that time, and I may be off. It just seemed at that time that I felt like, okay, well, they just weren't a good match, and one or the other let the other go.
Are you talking
And
about Gypsy's PR team?
yeah, and
Well,
that's
Gypsy decided
separate.
that she didn't want to do this whole like public life, and that's why she like whenever the contract was over, that's when she ended the contract. You know, if she could have ended it earlier,
Oh,
she would have. No, she
she should
chose.
not have.
No,
She
I
should
think
not.
she absolutely did the best. Like she was spending so much money, and they weren't doing any type of
Well, then
PR.
she should. Well, she should have moved. And I don't want to get down the road in this. She should have moved to another PR group
No, I think that she should. I think, but nobody wants her to be like. Why would she need a PR team if she's not going to be like this public person? That's
because
not what
she
she
was still
wants.
trying to at that point.
No, she was waiting for her contracts to come up. She
Well,
wasn't trying,
but
you know.
she still had a TV show to extend, and that's a whole other thing. I don't even want to get into that. Like,
Yeah, well, she wasn't worried about people like PRing for her. Basically, like she just wanted to get it over with and move on with her life.
I
Like
mean, yeah, she should have to keep her show. Like,
she didn't want to keep the show.
free.
Allison, I'm one of her
She
best friends. I
even
know.
went. She
What?
even went and presented the show to like she said at
No,
least.
no, no. Her lawyer wanted her to try to get a deal. Well, Hulu and Netflix was interested, and Gypsy ultimately said
Mhm.
no. She's the one who said no, not anybody else. It was Gypsy who said she did not want. First of all, she refused to show her baby. That was one
Mhm.
reason, and
Right.
two was she was done with it. She didn't like. She wishes that if she can go back in time, which she can't, she would have never done any of it. But I mean, you don't know until you know, and
Well, now I do understand that. I do understand her feeling that way. Kind of once you go down that road, though, and you start like you put yourself out there for so much there kind of comes a point where like you need it to come to an end that feels like an end, one that shines well on you,
I
one
mean, at the end of
that
the
you
day,
know what
like,
I mean.
at the end of the day, the public's opinion will always be the public's opinion. Like, I don't think at this point, like, well, at that point, especially, like, that Gypsy, there was no, I mean, like, there was no way of really ending it. And, I mean, anything Gypsy has ever said or done that people kind of dismiss it, you know?
That is, oh, see, I can't get into that because that's just a way bigger, that's a way bigger, like,
But I mean,
uh,
going back to, I think the more like going back to
umbrella
when
than,
you were saying
yeah.
when you say
Yeah, right, right,
so like not talking about gypsies
right.
after she got out of prison, because that to me is like kind of irrelevant. But speaking on her life before, you said that Dee Dee,
Mm-hmm,
she was sick until,
right,
and then it was like, and then it was a con, which like
yeah.
I guess I don't understand the sick. I don't see Gypsy as ever being like sick, so to speak. Like, I mean, underweight at one point, which I
Well,
believe based
so
on.
let me
Go
ask
ahead.
you this.
Uh oh. Oops, hold on. I think you're on pause. Come on, Rain. Come on.
One sec. Okay, is that
Okay.
better?
Rain, come on. Come on. Come on, Jax. Come on,
Um,
Rain. Come on.
so if we just kind of start like more from the beginning of it, and again, I'm not anywhere near as versed as a lot of people are on her case,
Rain.
but I did also have a daughter that had a little bit of a similar path, right? Growing
In
up.
what way do you mean? Like she has a
Um,
microdeletion?
no, she didn't have a microdeletion. However,
Come on.
some of the stuff that she experienced kind of overlaps what seems to be issues that can pop up with the microdeletion.
Like what?
Um, well, I don't want to get into her medical
Oh, that's
stuff.
fine.
I, and I may as we go, but you know, upfront, like I just, yeah, she's not here. I don't want to do that,
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
um, so for instance, with Gypsy, like early on, before, and then, well, let me ask you this: what year was it that the microdeletion test was done and she was diagnosed? Like 13 or when?
No, okay, so Gypsy's mother always knew she had a chromosome disorder. She didn't know she had the microdelete, like what kind it was, until 2011, which means Gypsy was 20 years old.
Okay, so 11.
No, 20.
Well, no, 11, 2011.
Oh, 2011, yes.
Okay. But what do you mean by she always knew that she had a chromosome disorder?
So, so the type of chromosome disorder she had wasn't really like known until like 2008, I want to say, and they didn't have the the right equipment to be able to really determine exactly what it is, but her mother always knew that she had a chromosomal disorder. She just didn't know exactly what it was.
But
Which is
how?
how
That's what
from
I'm
birth. I mean,
wondering. Yeah,
you get tested for different things at birth, like she knew that she had microcephaly and that
yeah,
she had strabismus. So
yeah.
those are common with having a chromosome disorder. But she just her mother, there was a blog that Dee Dee posted when she was raising money for Gypsy to go to like a feeding tube convention or something like that, and
Hmm.
and Gypsy was like 16 at the time, which was far before 20 years old. I was like, what, 16, 4 years before? And her mother in
Right,
that
right.
blog said that Gypsy has a chromosomal disorder, but also like Rod and all knew that she had a chromosome disorder. That's what Dee Dee would explain a lot of the things for. She said, because she had a chromosome disorder, but she didn't say, they didn't know exactly what kind.
Right.
So 2011, which that's one red flag, is that she never told doctors that she had a chromosome disorder.
Well,
Which
if she wrote a blog on it and she was going to do like
yeah, but just because
GoFundMe,
she wrote a
she
blog
clearly
doesn't
wasn't
mean
hiding
that's like
hiding that she.
Okay, so just because she wrote a blog on it doesn't mean she told doctors, because she even told, okay, the people around her in Missouri thought that Gypsy had cancer, but doctors didn't think she had cancer. She told people different things.
Well, from what I understand, and again, I'm not real versed on it, but when I understood that there was something when she was little that her blood work was quite indicative of a blood cancer. That
No,
they were.
there's
Are
no
you
documents. She doesn't. I'm
sure?
positive. She can't even access her medical records from before the age of, like, supposedly she had this when she was 5 years old. That's what her mother told doctors. She
Mm-hmm.
can't even access her records that far back. There's no records that say that she had cancer.
All right. I
Like,
can't
there's no
speak on
records
that.
whatsoever. Like, absolutely not. Like, I have access. I have like half of the records here, but I have all Gypsy's records, and there's not any records from when she was that little.
Okay. Um. So okay. So if we go like before that with the for instance, like her having to have this CPAP machine when she was a baby and whatnot, and then even like I know that Dee Dee's parents spoke out against her, and that's a whole other like relationship that none of us can even get, and it's sad, honestly. But even they like who speak negatively about her will talk and sorry, I'm shivering a little bit. I'm
No,
outside and
don't be.
it's
You're
really
good, girl.
cold.
You're
I'm
good.
up in Dallas.
You're good.
Like
Jax.
they were even talking about how like when she was staying with them that her CPAP monitor would go off and all that throughout the night and whatnot. Which would indicate that there absolutely was a need for that.
So there are some people who believe that I'm not saying this is true because I wasn't there. That believe Dee Dee would set off the machine on her own. But there's also some people I heard that they said they never even heard of a CPAP machine making noise like that. I have no freaking clue. But
Making noise like what?
making like an alarm going off on it and stuff. Like
Oh no, it does.
I don't know.
I
I'm
do
just
know
saying what some
that
people told
from
me.
yeah when I would come and visit my parents and my dad like but
But
especially
there's
as
no
an
record of
infant.
Gypsy being like there's no records from when she was younger for there's no record of her like being told that she has sleep apnea. And this sleep test when
But
she gets
you're saying but I thought you were saying like there's no records of her before like she was 5 when they were
right.
indicating that she had
Right,
the
there's no
blood
record of it. That's
cancer.
just going off of what Dee Dee told doctors. Like there's no record that Gypsy was diagnosed with sleep apnea as a child, and she doesn't use a machine now. But to me, the bigger picture is, let's just say she had sleep apnea.
Mm-hmm.
What would that warrant Gypsy's life being the way it was? If she had sleep
Well, no,
apnea.
wait. You can't jump from there. We have to build this in pieces.
No, but I'm just saying that's just one thing. So sleep apnea, even if let's just say, even though she doesn't anymore, let's just say
That's
that,
just the start of it.
let's just say she did. Let's just say it. I'm just gonna give it
Okay,
to.
okay,
Let's
okay,
just say we did.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. So the next thing would be.
Are people talking? I already know people are. I'm not reading chat, so
Yeah, I
just so you
wouldn't
know.
like. Don't worry about the chat.
I would get so distracted with chat.
Yeah, I'm not even reading
Not
the
even
chat.
reading it. Okay, okay.
So sleep
But you
apnea.
go
Let's
right.
just.
So you go from sleep apnea. So that's one thing. Now here is where I'll bring my daughter into it. Okay. Um. Okay. So you know those videos some people have shown where like cute little baby gypsy like was sitting there and then like all of a sudden it looks like she's being dramatic, right? And she looks up and then falls back. And it's like
Right. Like, there's so many assumptions you can make off of that video.
Right.
She could have.
Right.
I mean, she's a kid. I've
Right.
probably. I mean, I
But
pretended to fall back in church once, so I can like pretend like I caught the Holy Spirit. I mean, a true story. I went there with the purpose of doing that, and I did fall back. Jesus, they covered me with the cloth and everything. True story.
What kind of church did you go to?
It was a non-denominational church where they like speak in
Good
tongues
Lord.
and like I watched my whole life like
amazing.
from the age of like 3 people like falling at the altar. So I was like, I'm gonna do that, and I went up there and he put his hand on me and I just went back. Yeah. So I felt like I mean
Okay.
true story. I was determined to do that.
Funny.
I dreamed about that moment for like a year before I did it. But anyways, that's serious. I remember the dress I wore and everything that day. It was a green dress with a heart that said love on it.
Am I falling to the left or the right? And am I gonna collapse?
I just knew I was gonna fall back
like
gracefully, and I made sure to wear a dress so they could put one of those blankets over me. I needed the full experience. I got the full experience too. My mom cried and everything.
Do?
My mom cried. Everybody cried.
Oh no!
But yeah.
Did she ever know that? Like,
I did tell my mom as an adult when I got older.
Mm-hmm.
She thought it was funny. I mean, now you know. But yeah.
Well, of course, yeah, that's hilarious.
I was like, Mom, I'm gonna go up there to be prayed over, and she said, okay. And I was like, all right, Bree, this is your moment. And I took it.
That's too much. Okay.
The lady was fanning me and shit. Yep. But anyways,
that's hilarious. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm wiping tears. Okay. So, but I will say this, and like, out of concern, like, literally, because again, like, when we're talking about Gypsy stuff, like, she has a daughter, right? Whether she has the deletion or not, like,
she doesn't.
Let's not even, yeah, and I mean, like, not even to go there, right, at all. But
no, definitely not, because she doesn't, and I think it's somebody's business anyway.
It's not. But no matter whether she has the delusion or not, parents' medical history comes into play with every child on the earth. So it doesn't have to, nobody has to answer for anything, except it's good for Gypsy to know. And if there's missing records, it's good for her to know.
Well, which is why my daughter has been tested for everything she needs to be tested for.
And that's good. That's good. But what I'll say is, like, okay, so in those videos where her eyes like go up and to the side a little bit, okay, those are signs of an absent seizure.
No, she's never had seizures. She's never had seizures.
But Bree, how would you know that? How would she even know that?
That's based off of medical records and Gypsy. That's based off of medical records also. There's no medical record that's ever shown that like the test they take to show like brain activity that would prove whether she had a seizure or not, but also that
why was she on seizure medication?
Yeah, I know. That's what's crazy. But she's never okay. You have to know that. Okay, most doctors aren't expecting you to lie about your child having a seizure.
Right.
Right. So when you're going to a doctor and you say she's having seizures, they have to base that if there's no, because not in all cases, they don't always, the test that you take, it's not always going to show up that there's any kind of activity that shows that you're having seizures. It's not always the case.
Right.
So that's when you go off of the patient or the patient's mother. And according to Dee Dee, she was having...
To an extent.
To an extent what?
You know, I've been through this with my daughter.
I know, but you got to remember to not... you can't really... You have to remember that your daughter is not Gypsy.
Of course. But
So, like, your experience and that
but
experience
doctors
doesn't.
are still bound under the same laws that her
Okay,
doctors
but
were
this is the
bound
dangerous part I'm
under.
talking about. By thinking that it can't happen. Like, okay, so that paper that the doctor says strong possibility of Munchausen by proxy. Do you know that one of the reasons that was one of the red flags was that she had no seizure medication in her system, but yet he still prescribed her more seizure medication, even though she had none in her system. Actually, throughout Gypsy's records, you rarely see ever that she
She
has
had
any
wait, she didn't have it in her system
when she went to the doctor.
when she was arrested
No.
or
No, yeah, when
before
she was arrested
before.
too, but no, when her mother, there was a doctor's appointment in 2007, I think it was, when the doctor
Mhm.
noted that he thinks that there's a strong possibility of Munchausen by proxy.
Mhm. Okay.
Oh shit, there was black on this. Go ahead, but yeah,
On
so
what?
she had no. I put there was black on this brush, but anyways, no. So there was no that she told that I mean the doctor saw that she had no. That was one of the reasons. That was one of the red flags that he found when he was doing
That
the
she didn't
testing.
have that in her system.
Right.
Okay.
Which I
And
mean,
this was
if you
like
experience anybody with seizures,
2007,
you
which is
always need to
like,
take that medication. Like it's not something you want to miss.
well, right. But I also do want to say this. So my daughter had absent seizures, um, and through puberty grew out. As she went through puberty, um, grew out of it. She's not on any medication.
Right, but at that time, her mom was still claiming that she was having seizures, though.
She was claiming she was having active seizures, like that's in the medical records.
Yes, her mom said she hadn't had one in 3 months, but yes, that she was having seizures.
And that was in '07.
That was all throughout her history. I mean, her mom constantly says she has seizures.
Um,
Oh shit.
what I do want to say is this. Absent now also that I don't know the shelf life of that medication that she was I don't even know the medication that she was on. They can be very extremely short acting. So let's say if Dee Dee ran out of money or didn't get to the pharmacy in time or whatever, like that can be out of your system within a day or two. But I
Not
do
if you're
want to
taking
say
it every
this.
single day.
Oh no, it can.
No, what I'm saying is she should be taking that medication every single day, and it was
Yeah,
always like that.
absolutely, absolutely.
So this
It
wasn't just one
definitely should be
instance. This
taken.
happened almost every time that they ever did testing.
So every time that they went to do drug testing on her, she was missing the
I'm sorry.
medication that she was taking for the
Like
seizures.
there's almost no there is basically throughout all of Gypsy medical records, there's pretty much like no labs that show the Keppra or the Tegretol in her system.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'll go like try to take a look at that or whatever.
Yeah,
I
some
can't
of it you're not
speak
gonna be
to
able to see
that because
because
I
not
don't know
all her
about
medical
it.
records have. This is the thing. Becca Scoops and Becca Scoops and other people who have Gypsy's medical records, they only have like 300 pages of her records out of like 8 to 10,000.
But do you see where it would be if y'all are going to come? Okay, so and now here I'm going to step into my PR hat for a second, and I'll let you know when I do that because what I would suggest to her as a PR person is different than what I
But she doesn't
would.
even need it. She's not a public figure.
Well,
Like
no,
that's
she
not.
does need it. But I'm not going to go
Yeah, but
there
how can she need it if she's not wanting?
because she needs to make her living on she.
She has her own
That's
business. She does her
no,
cameo also. Like
but
so she.
her public perception all affects
Yeah, but
that.
it doesn't
So
matter to
I'm
her
not.
anymore. What people think of her is just
Well,
what people think of her.
okay, but I'm not going to go there. But what I'm going to say is like if I'm switching hats, I'll tell you so because what I would say as a PR person is almost like if I was to step into like a lawyer hat versus somebody that was watching this on a personal level and would like to know information, like those are sometimes two very different things and oppose each other. What I'll say there, though, as a PR person and both, is that do y'all not see in those some occasions that it would be extremely beneficial for her if all is out there that's already out there that goes against her, right?
What goes
Why
against her
not?
but due to people taking things how they would like to take them, not actually
Well,
going off
that
of
no, but Bree, there's also just flat out medical records. Like you
300
can't,
out of 8,000 pages,
right? And I get what you're saying
which
with
doesn't
that. I
say
do.
much.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with that. I do. But what is out there is out there. That's objective, not subjective. So in a situation like that, what you're talking about, where there's medication that is missing out of her system, that's big. Like
Yeah, well,
even
nobody
if
cares.
even if she doesn't put out like the rest of it, why not put that out there? That's important. Like
I know, but why is it
that would
important when people already twist what's in the medical records? But what I want to know, okay,
because
so
because you can't twist what you're talking about.
no, people
You
have
can't
though.
twist,
People have
but
absolutely twisted
because
it.
they don't have that. They don't have
They twist
anything
what they do
stating
have.
right. But there's no way to twist a blood test that says
No, the
there
people
is
have
no
records that say
Keppra.
that. People literally have records that say that. They just overlook it. They don't. They
They
like I'm
have
telling you
records
that's
that, like, they have blood records when she was supposed to be on Keppra
yes.
that doesn't show
That
up
they
in the
just don't
blood
mention it. They
system.
just don't bring it up. They bring up what they want to bring up.
Okay,
That's the whole thing that I'm trying to say. Like a lot of people
point
take
out,
it for it.
point out, point out where that is. Like, bring that up.
The record where
Direct
he says
people.
look right here. I can show you.
I'm not looking at my phone, but
No, well, but no,
watch it.
what
I
I
want
thought
to
you were
see
coming up here
it.
for is I'm talking about. You said that the whole discussion we were having before you came up was whether people believe if that Dee Dee was a con or that Gypsy was really sick, and you said you
Right,
believe both.
right.
So how can you
Yes.
believe both? Like that's what I don't understand. Like how?
Okay, because I believe Gypsy can be actually sick. I think that she can have all of the issues that they were treating. And I believe personally what would go along with the muscle atonia, all that. I think she probably had gastroparesis.
But you can't
It's
guess that.
probably
That's not in. But you can't just assume that. You have to go off
no,
on
I'm not
what I can.
right. I'm not stating that as fact. I'm not none of that. It just goes with it and it would make sense with a feeding tube along with the other stuff that they were treating
Y'all,
at
please
that
don't be
time.
rude.
Huh?
Oh, no, I was talking to the chat. What you saying?
Oh. But I do believe that I don't listen, I don't think it's just Gypsy. I think there are a lot of people out there that are sick and have
Gypsy's
real
not sick though.
issues.
Gypsy's not sick though.
You don't know that she wasn't sick. You don't know that, Bree. You weren't there.
Neither were you. Like how sick?
No,
Okay,
I wasn't there.
right. But Gypsy, when she was arrested, what was wrong with her?
Well, how old was she when she was arrested?
She was 23.
All right. Let me tell you this. When my daughter was 16, she was passing out at school and having EMS called on her several times throughout the school year.
Okay.
Full on, passed out, completely losing consciousness. She had several medical issues, but she grew out of them by the time
Okay.
she was 23.
So
She
now
was
my next point.
not.
Okay, so perfect. Okay, so why then was Gypsy at the age of 23 still being treated as if she was a sick child?
I think that goes in line with where where Dee Dee, where that con could have come in. I do
But
believe
if
that
Gypsy was
Dee
a
Dee
part of this
played.
con, why would she even want to unalive her mother if she was a part of that con? Like,
Wait, what was that?
I'll ask this actually. At
Sure.
when did Gypsy become a part of this con?
I don't know that answer, but I do know that there came a point where she got old enough that she was smart enough with it enough and savvy enough to get
How?
online.
Why do you think that? So
And
Gypsy, from how would she become savvy and smart and like how could she
well,
become that
how
if
do
she's
you
always lived in the
explain her
same
getting
environment?
online? How do you explain her getting online and talking and all that stuff with Nick?
I don't think
With
there's anything sneaky or savvy about that. I think that she was in her. Oh, your name's messing up. Your mic's messing up. But you're messing up. But like, I think that that was an escape for her, and it was totally normal at her age. But your mic's messing up.
right, but they're along with
You're
her.
messing up. I can barely hear you. Okay. Well, you got to turn on your mic. But no, you got to turn on your mic. Let me invite you to turn it back on. There we go. And y'all, like, I know that Belinda, I know, trust me, the case is closed, but we all having a conversation about it. So, I mean, there are going to be points that they bring up that I know that doesn't seem like it matters, but we're just talking about it. So, you got to turn your mic back on. You got to touch your box and then touch your mic. But, okay, so while you're doing that, and somebody just invited for you to turn on your mic, but in my opinion, I don't see how, okay, as far as being part of, oh, your phone's messing up really bad.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna mute till. Hold on. I'm gonna try to put my headphones.
But,
Okay.
but the reason that doesn't make sense to me anyway is because because you have to determine at what age did this start? At what age did she start being a part of the con? Like, just remember, like, this is all she's ever known, and there's nothing like to explain why she was put in a wheelchair. Then, if you're saying she was sick and then it became a con, like, why was she in a wheelchair? Why did her mom shave her head? And her mom always kept her hair really short. Why did she completely, like, why was she shaving it? Why did her mom say that she had cancer? I mean, she had been saying these things before you, I mean, think it was a con. And when we become an adult. Okay, so I explained this earlier. I don't know if you were in here. So, okay, so at 17 years old, you're not an adult, okay? But at 18 years old, you are. So what is the difference between the night before Gypsy turned 18 years old, at 17, when she went to sleep at 17, and when she woke up at 18, what is the difference between those two moments that would make Gypsy suddenly know exactly what she's doing, and she's a part of it now? Like, just because the government says when you turn 18, you're an adult? Because in my opinion, like, Gypsy grew up in that environment, okay? So when she was 17 and when she was 18, she's going to be the exact same. Just like when she's 19, 20, because you cannot learn a new behavior until you're taken out of that environment. We could say that about, like, wait, what do you mean, though? We could say that about anything, drinking, smoking, but I don't know what you mean. What can you say about drinking, smoking, and voting? That's just saying when it should stop, but that's so totally different than this. That is not relevant to what we're saying at all. Maybe you can explain it better, but this is the thing. Like, when a lot of people say, but wouldn't the online people be outside influence kind of poking the bubble for her? I I think like not okay, so she's in this environment where she's doing, when she was online, that was an escape for her, and she didn't chat about her life necessarily. She opened them to Nick, but wait, I've been away from my mom for 10 years and I still act like her, sadly. It's hard to unwire those behaviors or those things. Hold on, this person's not being productive to this conversation, so no reason for you to be here. But that's the thing that, like, so someone being groomed, say if, you hear stories like Demi Lovato, how, she was groomed, okay? From when she was underage and she ended up dating the guy and she was of age. Or she started dating him after whatever. He, like, groomed her. Okay, so what would be, like, I mean, should she have just known? Because when she was 18, she's an adult now, so you should just know you're being groomed. Anyways, should she just have known because she was 18? No better than to fall into that trap? No, of course not, because that's what grooming is. You don't know that you're being groomed. Just like Gypsy knew nothing but what she knew. And going on the internet, the things she was doing on the internet was, I mean, honestly, like, at her age, nothing is wrong with what she was doing. What 23-year-old, never had a boyfriend, only with the power? Exactly. If somebody wants to come up, they could. I don't know what's wrong with Allison's thing. I know somebody had said something about requesting. But, because my main thing is this, like, so what she was saying about, like, her being maybe sick. Okay, nothing that Gypsy was ever diagnosed with or that her mother claimed she had would keep her in the state that she was in. There's no... okay, so someone who has to have dental rehab doesn't need to be isolated to their home with their parent. Someone who has strabismus doesn't, like, that's some, if you have strabismus, you can absolutely live on your own, live a normal life. If you have microcephaly, you can absolutely live alone and have a normal life. If you have your salivary glands removed, you can have a normal life, live alone. You don't need your, like, none of those things require you to be in a wheelchair and have your head shaved and wear a diaper and drink out of a bottle and have a feeding tube. None of those things require that. So that's my thing is why, you both need to lean on God. I'm on you. You make me sick looking at you. But you want me to lean on God, but I make you sick looking. What have I done? Anyways, not even acknowledging that, actually. So, yeah, so that's my main thing. So, like, to me, arguing over what Gypsy condition she might have had and didn't have, to me, the reason it's irrelevant to me is because nothing that her mom tried to get them to diagnose her with nothing is something that would put somebody in a wheelchair with a shaved head with diapers in a bottle. Like,
let me ask you this. I can't speak to the diapers in the bottle, except that I know that they were stating that, like, the deletion can also lead to incontinence, which makes sense because of muscle
it leads to what?
Control, incontinence issues.
Where did you see that at?
That is, like, listed under the possible side effects from the deletion. That's listed, like, there, scientifically. But here's what...
okay, but what would that have to do with anything? Like, somebody that has a weak pelvic floor, overactive bladder, and urinary tract infections shouldn't have to be in a wheelchair wearing diapers with a bottle and shaved head.
You can't... well, hold on. You can't, again, like, this, Bree, I think this is kind of where you lose the argument.
No, I think this is where y'all lose the argument, because rebuttal it, dispute it. Prove what I'm saying. No, but y'all say that instead of proving it. You're saying this is where you lose the argument. How? How am I losing the argument?
Because you're jumping.
I'm not jumping.
I started... Bree, listen to me.
I have been listening to you this whole time. I've not butt in. I've listened to you.
Right. I know. Right. So please don't start getting, like, elevated.
Start getting what? No. Okay. Let me speak for a second.
I am not.
Can I speak for a second? This is my life. What's not going to happen is no one's going to come up here, and because my voice is a little bit louder than yours, is going to tell me anything, because I am being completely respectful. So that's what you're not going to do. Okay. So continue.
I'm talking about you, Bree.
No, don't talk to me like I'm a child. Don't. Please don't.
I'm not talking to you like you're a child.
You
I'm
are a little
talking to
bit.
you
You're like,
like you're an adult.
Bree. Like, I'm being completely
Okay,
calm
see, like
and
you're
respectful.
in a completely different headspace than you
No,
were
I'm not.
10 minutes ago when I was talking to you, when you were being respectful.
I'm still
And
being
now you're being
respectful.
like, don't talk to me like a child.
Because I'm
When all
allowed to.
I'm saying is, don't don't start going down. I initially I said, hold on, wait a minute. Like we can't jump to going from talking about her at 3 years old
We
to,
weren't talking about her
okay,
at
well, why
3 years
is she? We were, but
No, just
then
now?
jumping to, okay, well, why? No, before my mic went out, to jumping to, okay, well, why is she in a wheelchair? Like,
I
it
was just
doesn't go like
responding to
that.
you,
It's
what you
not,
just said. I was
well,
responding to what you just said.
I just came back and you were like, okay, well, how does that equate that?
No, you just said incontinence. You was talking about that, so I was replying to that.
Well, because I was just saying something to you bringing up diapers.
Okay, well, go ahead. Let me let you go along your timeline.
Okay,
I'm just going to sit back and you just
okay.
take control. Okay.
And please, I'm not saying like don't talk to me.
No, it's fine. Go ahead. Go
I
in the
want to
direction that you
follow
wanted to
it
go in. That's
literally.
fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, okay. So she, like, it started off with the whole, like, her needing a CPAP when she was younger. And then there were other people, be it her family, whoever that was around that spoke to that and said, "Oh
Her
no, we heard."
grandfather. That's who. Just one
Right.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, her grandfather and her stepmom, who doesn't even like her, like, well, her mom,
They weren't
like,
really defending her though.
no, not defending her, just saying that it was going off at all times of night. Not defending her, just
Okay.
verifying
So
that her CPAP was
past the
going off. Yeah.
CPAP. Okay, go past
Okay.
that.
So it started there. And then as she was like not too long past that, if I'm not, and again, I know I'm missing stuff because I'm not that whatever versed on
That's
it
okay. Just
as
say what you
people
do
are.
now. Yeah.
But like then we started dealing with some of the seizure issues, which again, I wasn't there. I never saw her having a seizure.
Right.
What
No
I
one
can
did.
say,
No one
right, no
did.
one did. No one did. What I can say is the daughter who had absent seizures. I'm saying I saw a couple of videos of Gypsy that looked like she had absent seizure and she went down to the
But
ground
that's not even the
afterwards.
kind of okay. In that video where she goes down to the ground, she's absolutely not having a seizure, and I think that's a reach to
Do
even.
we know that?
Yes, you could tell by the video. Like you could tell in the video she's not having a seizure. You cannot. And anyways,
How?
beside how.
Yes. How?
How they respond after, how they respond to her after,
Yeah,
like
I don't think they knew what they were dealing with at that point.
I think it
I'm
was a
telling
funny
you,
video of a child being silly.
and that's totally possible. That is absolutely
Right, so let's
feasible.
speak
I'm not
on
saying
things
it's
we know.
not.
Let's speak on things
Well,
that we.
but that's the problem is that we can't really do that because even the medical records
No, you
that
haven't seen them all, so you can't speak on that.
but the medical records that are shown,
Right.
not all of them, but the ones that we know,
300
like
pages.
even those are being argued. Like and
Yeah,
those
and
are things that should
misinterpreted
be.
and
But do you see what I'm saying? There
no,
lies the problem. Like
I don't.
there won't be a situation to where because that like medical records should be like kind of that
Okay, so listen,
point
may I talk for a second?
as to where
Okay,
people on both sides should be able to
what a
come to
lot
the
of people don't
middle.
understand, let me speak just for 1 second, is
Sure.
that, okay, so let's just say that Dee Dee did have Munchausen by proxy. Okay, let's just say, let's
Okay.
just say she was conning, whatever it is.
Okay.
The medical,
Okay.
that means that you cannot take all the medical records as truth. You cannot take everything that Dee Dee's saying as truth. Because
Right.
that's one of the biggest things of Munchausen by proxy is deception. And then so
Right.
is conning, deception. So you can't look at a medical record and be like, oh, this is just fact. What you could look at is things that were tested. That is facts. You can't look at what Dee Dee said holds no weight. But what doctors said does hold weight. So that's what I talk on is based on what doctors said, not what Dee Dee said. Well, I use her inconsistencies. Like, why would a mother who just cares about getting her child treated, why would she say that her daughter was quadriplegic when she never was? Why would she say that she was paralyzed from birth when that's not true? Why would she say that she has muscular dystrophy even though multiple doctors told her that she didn't? Why would she say those things?
I think that, and I can't speak to the first two. I haven't seen that anywhere. The muscular dystrophy, I believe that a doctor floated that as a possibility,
No.
and
A doctor never ever said
she
that was a
was.
possibility, ever. Never did a
Are
doctor
you
say that.
sure about
I'm
that?
100,000,000% positive that a doctor. And cerebral palsy, her mom also said she had cerebral palsy.
Because you have to understand. And my brother is a doctor, and I've taught, and then my other brother is a hospital administrator
Okay,
at
that's
Children's
fine.
Hospital, and I've talked to him about why there would not be lawsuits. Like,
Well,
this
because
is
statute of
I'm
limitations. I know why there wasn't a lawsuit. Statute of limitations.
well, no, there's okay, well, there's more around it, but also like as far as like
No,
okay,
there's work
I won't.
around it, but only a certain amount of time. And Louisiana actually has the worst. I think it's like 1 or 2 years. It's like horrible. And Missouri's is a little bit more, but more of her surgeries were done in Louisiana. So yeah, like it was statute of limitations, and I mean she was in the middle of potentially going to trial, which ended up taking a plea deal. But so the focus was more on that. So any kind of lawsuits would have had to been done pretty much in the first year, and that was not the focus. She didn't even get all her. It took Mike almost a year to get all her medical records that he can get. So she definitely wasn't on a great timeline for being able to sue. But yeah, statute of limitations. But I thought, why are we jumping to that? Like, you just told me something for stating an opinion about something, but you're jumping wherever you want, but I'm not allowed to ask, why does that matter? Because my thing was that, to me, going over each tiny little detail, it to me is irrelevant, because all of these medical issues that people want to claim was true or not true, none of them warrant the life that Gypsy lived. None of them explain why her mother shaved her head. None of them explain why she was in a wheelchair. None of them explain why she made her wear diapers. None of them explain why she drank out of a bottle. None of them explain why her mom continued to keep the feeding tube in her. And you're saying this is where I lose the argument. No, this is actually where I don't lose the argument, and y'all have an issue with that. This is where I win the argument, in my opinion. Unless someone can win instead of me. I don't know, like, because I don't know where she went, but does somebody, I will say this, like, does anybody else want to come up and, like, I just don't feel like this is, in my opinion, I'm not trying to be rude, but I feel like this isn't going anywhere. If anybody wants to have an actual conversation, and, like, to me, like, it's unless it's just really slow for me, I don't know, but I don't know if y'all agree. What is wrong with me? I don't know, what is wrong with me? What am I doing? What is wrong with me?
To me, here's a whole process that a doctor in a hospital has to go through to do testing, even like the biopsies that they did. They have to warrant and document three
No, you
times
see, this is what's
over.
dangerous. This is the whole reason this live started. Saying things like that, like it has to be no. There are real cases. Like, why do you think there's malpractice suits? Why do you think that doctors get sued? Why do you think there are real cases of Munchausen by proxy where there's a child who was getting cancer treatments who didn't even have cancer? It happens, and by you saying it doesn't happen, or there has to be something. No, things happen. People can be people can deceive others, and
Okay, but
Gypsy
you're
was
stating that on all levels that she's stating. It's not one issue. It's not like one track with one facility. It's not one doctor.
no,
It's not anything.
exactly. She
You're
doctor shopped.
stating you're stating that from when she was 2 years old or 1 year old or whatever, all the way up until she was 23, that every doctor,
Did I
every
say every doctor?
hospital, well, it would have had to have been for them
No,
to be
her tonsils
doing the
removed. I'm pretty sure.
testing.
I think her tonsils probably needed to be removed. That's a normal thing, right? So no, I'm not saying that was. So no, you're putting ideas into. You're putting words into my mouth. I
Well,
never
no, I'm just saying there's several, to go with what you're saying, there's many hospitals that would have had to have egregiously been neglectful. Many, not
No,
one.
well, you have to think
And
they
not
came
one
from Hurricane
doctor.
Katrina. They said so for 2 years they didn't even have any of her medical records. So they were going solely off of what her mother said. So, I mean,
That, do you understand, like, even back then, that hospital records were kept in, like, a system on the computer
no, they weren't.
online?
Not all. Like, girl, this is like you must not know a lot about this case at all because literally there's even in her records you see fax papers where the doctors finally got the records from New Orleans. Some of them, not even all of them.
I
Like
was going to
so,
say, so they did get them.
what?
So they did get them?
After 2 years. After 2 years. So for 2 years they went off of whatever her mother said.
And when they got them, were they against what they treatment? Like,
When
were
he
they
when they
against
got
what
them,
Dee said?
it was basically. I mean, Dee Dee always said the same stuff. She just added stuff all the time, like that's what I'm saying. I know it's so crazy that somebody could actually be this deceptive, but that's what happened. That's what happened. Gypsy does not need to be in a wheelchair. Gypsy did not have cancer. Gypsy, there was a lot more stuff that she added after because she had the chance to. Hurricane Katrina was like a blessing for her because she got to really go full force with it. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of things, like the feeding tube. Y'all don't have to believe this, but I believe that her mother made her lose weight and where she was underweight, and she was saying that she couldn't swallow food, but yet when her mother got into a car accident and she was babysat by her grandparents, she ate perfectly fine.
But then why, when she was getting tested with swallow tests, were they saying she was having difficulty swallowing
Because the
when
mother
Dee
told
wasn't
her.
there?
Now that's the part where the part where Munchausen by proxy steps in, where her mother is telling, just like, why did, I mean, she didn't need a wheelchair. Why'd she sit in a wheelchair? Because her mother told her to. Why didn't she swallow
Okay.
food? Like, and why was she having problems? She refused to, like, in a lot of things, like, she refused. She didn't even try. She would refuse because, like, I mean, she's listening to her mother. She's listening to what her mother says for her to do. She's listening to her mom. I mean,
But you understand, like, also with some of her sleep studies and her swallow studies, some of those overlapped. Where, for instance, like at night, part of her problem was she was over salivating and she
no,
wasn't in
actually, like,
sleep.
actually, the sleep study that I can literally show you says that she was not doing that. Her mother said she was, but when she stayed overnight, she absolutely didn't.
Okay, yeah, I'm just like referring to what they were documenting, that she woke up at
No,
night
that's what you're
choking,
saying they
like in
documented,
the
but
sleep
I'm telling you that
study.
that's not true.
And that's, you've looked at the sleep study and
Yes.
not just took her word for it.
No, I'm not taking. Why would I? Like, y'all always think I'm just taking Gypsy's word for it. No, I don't ask Gypsy these questions.
Well,
Gypsy,
because,
was you salivating at the hospital? Like, why would I ask Gypsy that? Like, that's silly.
well, I don't think you
No.
asked her that. I think maybe she comes to you with that
Well, she
when
doesn't.
she
She
hears
doesn't come
other
to me to
people
tell me
talking
anything.
about it.
There's nothing that Gypsy comes to me and.
Bree,
Wait, what do you mean, Bree? Are you trying to?
come
Are you going to
on,
accuse
don't
me of
say
lying?
that.
Are you? Wait. So you're
Don't
trying to
say
tell
that
me that
Gypsy doesn't
Gypsy
come to you.
with what?
Don't say she doesn't come to you
So
with
what you're
issues
saying, you're
that.
accusing me of lying based on nothing, right?
What I'm saying is
You know
that
why
that
that's an
makes it a
insult? Let me
little
talk
more
for a second. Let
difficult.
me talk for a second. You want to know why that's an
Okay?
insult? Let me talk for a second.
Yes.
This is my live and I haven't got much of a chance to talk. You want to know why that's insulting? Because I have put fucking hundreds and hundreds of hours into the shit that I know. I put 100 hours into learning what I know. Not because Gypsy came to me and talked to me. Because I read records. Gypsy hardly even remembers a lot of shit. Do you know what PTSD is? Do you know what childhood trauma is? Do you know what that does to your brain? There's so many things that Gypsy just does not remember, or doesn't remember well. I don't just like, hey, let's have a talk about your sleep study. No. No, we don't. So you can accuse me of lying. I don't really give a shit because I put hours and hours and hours into learning what I know. And to not just reading it, but putting it through multiple systems that I pay for to give me real accurate answers with sources to relate those back to. So no, you're not gonna be like, Bree. No, no. I have put in hours into the shit that I know. So, does anybody else want to come up though? I mean, I don't think, like, because my main thing, you're saying that I'm jumping from here to there. The reason you came up, I thought, was because you were going to discuss on why. Not understand medical records. No, unable to understand medical records. I don't try to understand medical records. What I do, like on my own, what I do is put them through a system, through multiple, through not just ChatGPT, Gemini. There's multiple things that I put them through, and I don't just ask, oh, explain this to me. No, I tell them, I put deep research, and I tell them to give me the sources. That way I can understand every single thing that I'm reading. So, and it doesn't give me opinions, it gives me facts. It doesn't just, like when people bring up that page when it says with maybe unknown underlying ideology. A lot of people take that as, oh, he's saying one child's by proxy, or maybe something's really wrong with it. That's not what he's saying. Like, if y'all would learn and educate yourselves on what that actually means, then you would understand it better. But, but yeah, no, I don't, me and Gypsy do not talk about her medical history. We don't. Literally.
Okay.
Have I ever asked Gypsy a question? Maybe. But to be honest, I probably know more about Gypsy's medical history than she does. Truly. Because Gypsy, you think Gypsy's going to remember her whole medical history? No. Some of these things, she got out of prison, she didn't get to see her medical records until she was released. She went through them like last year, and not even all of them. There's so many of them. She's going through certain things where she's like, what? Like, why would my mom say this? Why would my mom say she doesn't even remember that or know it, or looking at it and knowing that it wasn't true?
Well, no, it's obvious she doesn't know her. It's obvious.
It's obvious that you don't either.
No, I stated that I don't know everything, but I'm stating, like.
But what do you mean it's obvious? She doesn't speak about it, so how would you know? You're saying it's obvious Gypsy doesn't know. How do you know?
She does speak on it.
Huh?
She speaks on it all the time. That's
all
the
time? She speaks on her medical history all the time?
Yes.
When? All the time. Do you know what all the time means? Do you know what all the time means?
Free.
Allison.
I'm trying to have a constructive
why anytime I rebuttal,
and you're breaking down
anytime I rebuttal
down the word all the time.
I'm never able to speak on my own live. I know, it's so crazy. I'm never able to speak. I'm literally not though. Every time I rebuttal,
breaking down the word.
You're literally doing it right now. You're saying it's obvious, and you're saying she always speaks on her medical history. No, she doesn't. I would love for her to. I would love for her to, but she knows that it's never going to matter. She has maybe spoke on her medical history a handful of times, and that's been to try to correct or answer somebody that thinks they know what they're talking about her medical history based off of 300 pages. So to say she always talks about her medical history, no, she doesn't. No, she absolutely doesn't. But that's my opinion. I guess we have two different opinions. Your all the time and my all the time are two different things. Two different things. But if anybody else would like to come up and prove to me, explain to me why her mother, why it went from conning to, from her being sick. Oh, how was she sick? I guess you could say. And how her being sick would mean that her life had to be the way it was. Since you haven't done that. You haven't done that for me.
Why? I did, but...
No, you did. How did you? You did that?
Because we were walking through the points of how she was literally sick.
Do you know what sick means?
What do you define sick as, Bree? Let's start there. How do you define sick?
No, how about you love to do the most talking. How do you define sick?
Well, you're the one that's coming back about it about the word. So please tell me what you're taking offense by saying that
I'm
she's
not taking
sick.
offense. Okay, you want me to? Okay,
Many
listen.
of her
Sleep
medical
apnea.
records stated she
Okay,
was.
sleep apnea is not an illness.
No, that was just the first.
Okay,
And
so
that was just the first thing out of all the list
okay,
of
what other
things
thing? What
that
other thing?
if you go down the
No, well, give me the
checklist,
next thing. Give me the next thing.
Bree,
I'm
I didn't
asking
come
you.
on here. I didn't listen. I didn't come on here with
No, you
a
just said
ready
that you were
list
able to
of her
prove.
shit. She okay. She has almost every single one. You brought teeth up
Actually,
earlier.
that's
Let's
like
go there.
impossible. Nobody has every single thing that comes from the
Did I say
micros.
every? I said
No, not even
almost.
almost. Not even almost. Okay, so what does she have then besides sleep apnea, which she doesn't have, but
Well, she has a muscle tone issue.
muscle tone
Many would,
issue that
many
makes her
would,
sick?
many would. Okay, see, that's why I said a minute ago, why don't you define what you classify as sick? Where are the goalposts here? Where are we at? So then I know where to go. Because I'm not sure where you're coming from as far as like what will pacify you on understanding that she has so many of the markers for that deletion.
Okay, so
What do
being
you
sick.
classify?
Okay, being sick refers to something that's usually temporary. A
Uh-huh.
condition with clear symptoms, like let's say, for instance, diarrhea, a sore throat, a fever. Um,
Uh-huh. Would you classify having cancer as being sick?
well, yeah, Gypsy never had cancer.
Okay, I'm not asking about Gypsy. Would you classify somebody as having ALS as being sick?
Wait, what you said?
Lou Gehrig's. Would you classify somebody having
But
ALS?
that's not relevant. Like that has nothing to do with Gypsy
No,
though.
I'm just trying to set the goalpost free.
The goalpost, obviously, someone with cancer is gonna. It causes things that make you sick.
Okay, and then Lou Gehrig's disease. You're sick, right?
I don't know what comes a part of that.
Well, I mean, you die from that. So, but there, you have muscle issues. You've got like all kinds of stuff that go along with that. But the main issue being you have symptoms that affect your life long term, right? So let's say,
That's because that's a progressive neurodegenerative disease,
do
though.
you
It's
understand?
progressive. It's progressive.
Right.
That's why it affects
Do you
nerve cells.
understand? Do you understand that what Gypsy has is progressive?
Oh,
She's
what?
in. She is in a state right now that seems to be remissive, but again, I'm
What?
not
Wait,
even
based
going
off
to
wait, how? Okay, how is it? How is the microdeletion she have? How would you say that it is progressive?
because it's degenerative over
No, it's
time.
not.
Okay, I'm not. I'll go. I'll go look that one back up and make sure I'm not incorrect on that one. Like I'm not gonna take that on without. I'll go. I'll go double check that. But I thought I remembered saying that that is a degenerative issue that will not go away. It can go into remission. It can be better at times, but it does not go
No,
away and
that's
it can get worse at any given time.
oh, get out of here.
That cat.
No. Gypsy's microdeletion is a non-progressive genetic disorder.
Okay. I'm not going to argue that. I'll go double check that because I'm not, that's not a hill I'm willing to die on. But nonetheless, like the
Yeah, but I know,
issues
but
that
that's like
come with
you're saying that
that.
Gypsy's like in remission of her. Like that's not how a
No,
microdeletion
I
works.
don't, I don't want to say, I don't, like I said, I don't want to stay on that is just that. It's fact. I'll go look that up. And I also am not. I also am very fully aware.
And it's not
I'm not
degenerative either.
anywhere.
It's absolutely not degenerative. That's what I'm saying. Like, so that's, do you see what I mean by like, you're saying these
Hold
things
on.
and people just like go around saying things that aren't true. And no wonder why there's so much misinformation about Gypsy's medical history that should have never been really much of anyone's business, but whatever, it is now, I guess. But this is what I mean. Like, you are, and I say this respectfully, you are an example of the misinformation that gets passed around, because none of that is true.
Yeah, no,
And also, like some have said, microdeletion does not cause hypersexuality. Babe,
come on.
can you bring
But
me
mental issues are listed with it.
okay? Does a
That
mental
is
issues
encompassed.
do people? Well, my whole thing. I know you keep on saying I'm jumping when I say this, but this is an important question. All the things that it could possibly ever cause. I mean, look at Gypsy. Look at her. Like, is there a reason that her mom should not have let her move on and live her own life, have boyfriends, go to school, or have friends, not be in a wheelchair, not shave her head? What reason do you have for that? What explanation? Like, that's what I would really love for someone to give me an explanation to. Specific symptoms could have a progressive component. Which ones? Any ones that she has?
Bree, I don't think you're going to find anyone that says, "Oh yeah, she should have kept her in a wheelchair. Oh yeah, she
Well,
should have kept her from getting one. Oh yeah, she should have done that." I don't think you're going to find anyone saying that.
well, what do you mean? Like that? Well, so how do you? Well, in that case, Scott, you're on the camera.
Oh, I am?
Yes.
Oh, I am.
Jeez, here.
Why are you pointing that way?
Because I'm eating and I don't want to have my face all on the camera. Jeez, everybody doesn't see your schmake it body. Not schmake it, but his shirt off. But anyways, no, what do you mean nobody's gonna agree with that? If that's the case, then how can you say she wasn't abused? Because that's abusive, right? Here, take it and leave. Is that not abusive then? Right? I don't know where you went, but
Dealing with some form of abuse that way, that's where people talk about the con, the malingering, and all
wait, what
that.
do you mean? No, but I'm saying, like, wouldn't that... Wait, but you're saying, but sadly, Dee Dee is not here to explain anything or defend herself. Okay, here's the thing.
Right.
Dee Dee doesn't
Right.
have to be here to,
But she says,
if anything, you know what? If Dee Dee was
woman.
here, you know what I think she would say? I think she would say she wished y'all would stop saying she was malingering, and she would probably be happy that someone finally is going to help her because she has a mental disease. She has a mental illness. That's what I think. No, it's not. No. Hypersexuality is not a symptom. That's a lie. But no, the whole thing is that oh, I'm sorry. You're saying she was sick at first and then it became a con, but Gypsy's mother had her in a wheelchair for a very long time. So was that not a part of the con then? Oh, not like I don't understand. Like, I mean, when did it become a con? Because she was shaving her head during she'd been shaved her head even before she moved to Missouri. Here, go away. Go. Scott, call him. I'm serious because I mean I think that if people are gonna be out here saying like saying this and saying that, they should have. I mean, this is to me it's a pretty serious thing. Like, you're doing this at the cost of invalidating someone's entire life experience. So I mean, you better come with some facts, huh? This is my opinion. Go. Go, Rain. Go, go, go.
Hey, come here.
Well, go. 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 Go, go, go. Go. Okay. I mean, I would love, like, I mean, I don't know if, I don't know if Amy's still in here. I know she said she'd want to come up. Because I'm all about having a conversation. Wait. Yeah, hypersexuality is not a symptom. The primary characteristics disorder. Yeah, exactly. I just get so frustrated when people say that. That's something that Colleen said due to fancy.
It would be Christmas for a person that has Munchausen. Having a diagnosis like that, that is reason every time now to take your kid in to the emergency room and get treatment and attention without being judged. Like,
Wait, what?
absolute, because when she got that diagnosis of her microdeletion, instead of all the visits to the emergency room and the hospital stopping or slowing down, at least, like a Munchausen person, you would see them going to fucking town with the hospital because now they can take their kid without being judged. Now they
What do you
can
mean?
take their
They're
kid.
not, girl, their deception is so good that they're not, like, judgment is not even what they're thinking about. She had been doing, by the time, you know how old Gypsy was? Like, in that case, even if you want to say that, she was 20 years old, girl. 3 more years, that's when the crime
But
happens.
why do you think all of a sudden when they had validation,
Gypsy's last
what was wrong
surgery
with
was in
her?
2013, girl. That happened in 2011. Her mom, I have the notes. You know how Gypsy said that her mother was going to the ear, throat, and nose doctor to, think about having exploratory surgery on her throat. I literally have the documents to prove that that's true.
But what I'm saying is, like, why do you think that somebody with Munchausen, once
Munchausen
they
by
have
proxy.
validation, yeah, and once they have that validation and they're not seen as crazy
No, they
anymore.
constantly get validation. What do you mean? Anytime. There were times when Gypsy's mother would go there for her having like a cough and she would be in the emergency room and because she played out this sick child, they would keep her overnight and there was no reason to keep, like there wasn't even.
That's not true. They were bringing psych in. They were doing all this kind of shit.
What do you mean that's not true? That is true that they would keep her overnight.
Well, yeah, but you saying like that they were valid? They weren't they were keeping her, but they were also bringing psych in to talk to her and
bringing psych in. No, they weren't bringing psych in.
Yeah, she talked about how they brought psych in and how she freaked out when they brought psych in and was saying,
"What are you talking about? Where did you hear this from?"
It was the book or somewhere that she was saying that when they brought psych in, that Dee Dee got so fucking offended.
What about every other time? Like, you're talking about one experience? I'm talking about her whole entire life.
No, what I'm saying is that those are what...
Her mother got validation every single time. Okay, when Gypsy was in the Special Olympics, like, that was... Do you know, like, it's not just for... Okay, you get, like, Munchausen by proxy is attention, like, that you get for being, like, this perfect, just this doting mother that's just, like, oh, my God, look at her. All she cares about is her child. Yeah, yes. So... That's, I mean, validation could be Gypsy. You know, one time Gypsy was telling me, like, her mom used to bring her to, like, they would have school bag drives where, you know, you go and get a free school bag and stuff in the community. Mm-hmm. She didn't even go to, like, a normal school or anything. There would be times where they would go there and her mom would bring her there and they wouldn't even grab a school bag. They wouldn't even end up leaving with one. They would she was just showing, almost like a show pony. Like, she just pushing her around.
I believe it.
Okay, exactly.
But that's not... I'm talking about medical validation, where...
No, it's not just about medical validation. Munchausen by proxy is not...
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, but it's not just...
I'm talking about medical validation because the hospital...
There was many times she got validation, but from medically. But that's not all Munchausen by proxy is.
No, it's not. But the hospital is absolutely, like... it is where people in Munchausen by proxy like to be.
Yeah,
That
and
is
she loved to
where
be
they
there.
love to be. But after Gypsy got her diagnosis, all of that slowed down.
No,
All of
not
it.
really. And actually, do you not realize that her getting that diagnosis actually hindered her from being able to push further for other things? Do you know that? Because before that diagnosis, Gypsy's mom, they didn't know why she couldn't walk. So it was just more of a reason for her to continue to go to the hospital. Now, her mom used to always add these diagnoses. And guess what? All of these things that she would try to claim that Gypsy had, all of them are relevant to chromosome disorders in general. And there's so many different overlapping symptoms that come from all different
Right.
chromosome disorders.
How do you think, but how do you think that that happened
How did that
before
happen?
her
Because
mom
she knew that Gypsy
ever,
had a chromosome disorder.
but
So
she didn't know what chromosome disorder. She didn't know
no, but it
what
doesn't
symptoms
exactly.
to make up.
She didn't, which is why she said things that are not even relevant to her chromosome disorder at all. That's
But
why she
how
said
did she hit almost everyone on the list?
because
How did
what do you
she do
mean?
that?
That's because most of those are symptoms of all different kind of chromosome disorders. That's what her mom was basing it off of. She was looking at chromosome disorders in general, and always she went to the doctor and tried to get her diagnosed with anything possible because obviously something's gonna come
But
through.
Bree, do you understand how much?
I don't
Do you
think you understand.
understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? Is do you understand how many hoops you're having to jump through
What do you
to
mean?
explain the fact? Well, I'm trying to say
How am I?
it.
I'm not jumping through any hoops. What do you
No,
mean?
to
What
jump
hoop am I?
through. I'm telling you,
Okay, tell me. What hoop am
listen.
I jumping through?
All of the hoops you have to jump through to justify in your mind what
Justifying.
was going. See, don't. This is. I think this is what keeps you from like.
No. I can promise you, if we did a vote right now, people would be saying that you or I'm girl. You have done
Well, that's your
90% of the speaking.
crowd.
No. There's a lot of people in here that is not my crowd. You literally have done 90% of
No.
the talking.
Well, I'm not saying I haven't.
Okay then.
I'm normally not up here. I don't go on panels. So when I talk, I talk.
Okay, well you're not gonna say I'm jumping through freaking like loops to
To
explain to
say,
justify. No, you are
to
justifying shit,
say,
not me.
I'm not. No, I'm saying that she, it, to jump. Okay, for you to say that she, how were you explaining that that Dee Dee happened to hit almost every single nail that
See, you know
his
how you just said,
mom.
how am I explaining? You want to know?
Yes,
Let me explain. You know that you're not listening to learn, you're listening to respond.
that's
Which
not
is why
true.
you don't know the way that I explained it because you never listened to understand. You
I'm
listened to
listening to
respond.
you, Bree. I'm
Not
listening
to
to
understand,
you.
but to respond.
No, I'm listening to you to understand.
Okay, then actually listen this time. Her mother
I
knew.
do.
Okay, well, let me try again. Her mother knew that she had a chromosome disorder. Okay? Her
Uh-huh.
mother knew that. Okay. So, being that she knew she had a chromosome disorder, her mother, if you would see the list of things that her mother tried saying Gypsy had, every single one of those are relevant to chromosome disorders. Okay? In general. Okay? In general. Because there's so many overlapping symptoms that you can get from all sorts of chromosome disorders. Which is why most of this shit did not make any sense to doctors. Why? Because she didn't have most of the things she tried claiming she had, like cerebral palsy, for instance, muscular dystrophy, for instance, why she wasn't walking, for instance. I mean, I can go on and on. There was so many different things that doctors literally. There was one doctor that even said he's not 100% sure that he can rule out conversion disorder, which is when it is like psychological. That
Right.
it's maybe psychological because there was literally nothing medical that could explain some of the stuff that Dee Dee was saying.
Well, also because Gypsy, what they had noted on many of her tests she was taking, they could tell she was faking
Yeah,
feeling
and you
it.
know what? That was a red flag for doctors. I know normal human beings don't seem to understand that. Do you know when it says things like about her faking or malingering, that you think the doctors are thinking that Gypsy's just doing this all on her own? No, they're thinking that the parent
Right.
is telling her to do this,
Yeah, I understand that.
which is why the doctor stated a strong possibility of Munchausen by proxy.
Right. I
She was
mean,
also reported for that into DFS 2 years later by a whole different doctor. Now,
I
what's the
understand
chances
that
of two
too.
different doctors thinking that?
Right. I hear you on that. But I mean, if we want to make a list of all of the different symptoms that can come of all of the disorders out there, I can promise you, like, it's forever long. For if we like you were mentioning earlier, like, well, she knew she had a chromosome disorder, so she started kind of hitting the list of the things that happen
Right.
with chromosome disorders.
Like a
But
blueprint.
that list is infinite long. Like, it's insanely long of the
It's really
different.
not as long as you think.
But almost every symptom that she has,
She didn't really have. What symptoms did she actually have?
her muscle issues,
Her
her
muscle
eating
issues?
issues, her
Her muscle
her
issues? She had no muscle weakness. She had. Her doctor even noted that the reason she
it
had
came
muscle
out in her
atrophy.
biopsy.
What? Her
It
biopsy came
came
up
out.
normal.
No, her biopsy showed
Her biopsy came up normal.
Bree.
Would you like me to show you the results?
Yes,
Okay.
because everybody out there that's floating around her medical stuff, her muscle biopsy is not showing normal.
No, her muscle biopsy. That's what. Girl, okay. Hold on. Like, that's crazy. I think people
Yeah,
that are even. I think people that are even anti-Gypsy know that that's not true. Um. 1 second.
okay.
Okay. Specifically, remember Gypsy Rose and mentioned to Dr. Garcia, her previous neurologist clearly reported the fact that Gypsy Rose does not have muscular dystrophy. It seems that she had a proper muscle biopsy, which had been lost at the time of Katrina. See, like, and that doesn't even show that, but it says like she did not have muscle dystrophy. This thing might state the exact words, but also I can go get the actual test. Recalls the patient. Hold on, I gotta get this to be smaller.
Okay. I'm not looking at chat. You were talking about that. If people want to be jerks, a lot of people don't come in here and are respectful to Bree.
Okay, here we go.
So if they want to whatever at me
So
about
Gypsy
it,
is a
like,
14-year-old patient who recently returned from care. All her records from past blah, 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 lost. Okay, by a personal conference with her previous pediatrician, she recalls that this was never proven and her muscle biopsies were normal. Her muscle biopsies were normal. Yes, the type 2 atrophy, she was diagnosed with the fiber atrophy type 2, and the doctor even notated that it was due to disuse. Because he didn't understand why she wasn't walking, and he felt like the only reason she had that, the only reason she was dying, like, the only reason it was showing any type of issue, whatever, is because she was not using her legs like she should be. The doctor even notated that, due to disuse. And the reason I keep on bringing it back to this is because this to me is so important. Despite Kelly, I'm about to. Despite what anyone thinks, despite what we believe to be true or not about her medical history, even if everything in her medical history were true, even if it were true, aside from the fact that she could walk, okay? So we have to take that out of it. Even if it were true, none of that warrants the type of lifestyle that Gypsy lived. So at the end of the day, even if had those medical problems all been true, she still would have been able to, in a normal world, in a normal life, live normal. That's the whole big thing. That's why there's so many people that have spent hours and hours dissecting the little bit of records they have. And it's like, I wish people would see the big picture. Even with the records even with the records y'all have seen, none of those prove, even if all of that's true, that the life she lived was what she should have lived. Oh my God, please rescue me.
The way I come at it is kind of from a personal perspective. I have a child with a microdeletion. He has a 6P deletion syndrome. So the things like atrophy and maybe failure to thrive, I don't know if she was actually diagnosed with quote unquote failure to thrive, but I know she was thin, right? And maybe had some eating issues because of high palate. My son has a high palate.
And well, you see in the medical records, it says that her palate is not is fine. That's what I always. Yeah, it did, because I remember somebody saying that, and people say like by the look of her mouth, it looks like that. But if you look at Dee Dee, Dee Dee has a similar mouth to Gypsy. If you look at this one picture, that their mouth is almost identical. And I really think that it's a feature.
I believe you. I believe you. I'm just saying, like, those are common things that go along with most genetic microdeletions. My son is affected a lot more than Gypsy. Like, he's Gypsy's age, probably close to. He's 36. So I kind of was.
Does he live on his own?
No, he does not. He won't ever.
He won't I want to ask you this real fast. If your son had the quality of life that Gypsy clearly has, would you be like so like happy for him, and would you be?
Of course.
And that's what blows my mind, though, when people can't see it that way. Like why would you, especially someone who knows this because you lived this life? Like, could you imagine being a mother who like has a child with a microdeletion, but actually can do the things that your son can't do, and yet you keep him in a state of like where he's not able to like live his life as fully as he is literally capable of doing?
Yeah, I think it's an easy place to go to because you're so afraid that something's going to happen to them. But you have to like work through that. And like my oldest, I have 4 children. He's the oldest. I have children in my 20s. So my oldest child goes on vacation with my children, not me, with my children down to Miami and parties and all that other kind of stuff. Like, I try and let him experience as much normalcy as he can.
That's awesome.
But he has a low IQ, and he's nearly deaf. So he has like some speech stuff. People can't always clearly understand him of what he's saying. But when he was a baby, he had things like respiratory distress, like apnea, and he had failure to thrive, and he had hypotonia, and all those things. We didn't know what was wrong with him. We had genetic tests done. He had to have 1 surgery because the ducts in his sinuses, but because he has microcephaly, the ducts in his sinuses weren't big enough for everything to drain out of them. So he was getting like chronic eye infections and ear infections. But he didn't go through repeated surgeries. But I know the feeling of wanting to find out. And I feel like, I don't know Dee Dee, I don't know Gypsy, but I know that feeling of wanting to know. And I don't know if that's how it got started in her head, that she wanted to know, and she was coming up with all these different possibilities, and then it turned into something completely different.
It could have. You know where I struggle? I struggle with this. I struggle with the lies that we know are lies, not even like it's possibly true. Like, you know, like with the like her, well, for one, be going in a wheelchair. For 2, getting her head shaved and telling people she had cancer. Telling one doctor, you know, she's quadriplegic, and then telling a whole different doctor she's paraplegic and she was paralyzed from birth, and telling another doctor she was paralyzed when she got in a car accident, and then telling another doctor she was paralyzed during the surgeries because she had a seizure. That's what makes me like, I 100% feel that Dee Dee had a mental illness, and that's like I feel like that.
I would agree.
Like I feel like it's so important for people to recognize that, because to me it humanizes her more. I think that when people just say, "Oh, she was malingering and she was a con," I think it makes her out to be like this very horrible monster. And I don't think that their intentions, but I think they think it doesn't. But it actually, if you look at the why, the question why, which is important in this case, like you have to look at the why. And if you look at the why when it comes to malingering and just being a con, it's pretty fucked up. But if you look
I
at
think that insinuates mental illness, though.
no, but that's not. No, it's not. Yeah, it's a whole different. Okay, there's a difference between being like, yeah, if you are a shitty person, maybe you have a mental illness. I don't know, but it's different. Malingering and being a con artist is not the same as having Munchausen by proxy, though. There is a very clear difference.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that's what I mean. So when people want to say like, oh, it was a con and like they were malingering, to me, it paints this story of a mom who, like, because when you're malingering, like, this isn't your brain telling you, like, and you just don't know that. This is you, like, you are doing that because you are choosing to do that and because you want to, blah, blah, blah. Whereas Munchausen by proxy, there is something, it's very deep seated, that there is a psychological thing going on where you know what you're doing, but you don't understand that it's because of this psychological thing that you're doing it, if that makes sense. Like you don't understand that that's the reason. That's just like if I was never diagnosed with like I have very bad intrusive thoughts, and I know, like, and it'll make me do certain things, and like I know that I'm doing it, but the reason I had those intrusive thoughts is because I have OCD, and I didn't know that, and knowing that helped me so much to understand what was going on. Just like if Dee Dee and because I'm gonna say Dee Dee too, not just Gypsy, both of them would have never fell through the cracks of every fucking crack there was. They both would have been helped, including Dee Dee. Dee Dee, could you imagine Dee Dee finding out that let's just say if she had Munchausen by proxy, her finding that out, because how that would look like if she would have been, she would have been in trouble, but she would have gotten treatment, and she wouldn't have spent the rest of her life in jail or anything. She would have got treatment for it. And I can guarantee her knowing that about herself and understanding it and getting treatment would have been so much better than what the ending was. And
but Bree,
yes.
One of them is using your child's sickness or whatever, for your gain and whatnot, because they've got it and why not, right? That's one.
No, but not necessarily, because your child doesn't have to be sick.
The other one, you're fucking making your kids sick.
No,
the other one,
okay, Allison, you're wrong.
Munchausen by proxy.
But you're wrong. Munchausen by proxy.
Sick.
No, you're wrong. I'm going to correct you because you're wrong.
Okay.
Munchausen by proxy is the fabrication, exaggeration, or inducing sickness on your child. So that means that your child can be not sick at all and you make them sick. It means that your child you're not making them sick, or they're not sick and you're just lying, or your child can have an underlying issue that you exaggerate to a very big extreme. That's what Munchausen by proxy is. That's what it is.
But Gypsy did have stuff showing up on.
I just now said, Allison, I just literally said, or it could be a underlying issue that is so mild and moderate and it gets exaggerated, which was the case with Gypsy. Exaggerated to a very big extreme.
I believe that was the case. I mean, I wasn't there, but I believe she had some issues that probably weren't critical at the time, and she had some need, whatever it was, to exaggerate that. And I think that the finance stuff and the trips, that was just a bonus to it.
I mean, it was a perk. It was a perk too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens when you have a sick kid. A lot of times you get those.
Yeah. I mean, and I think they all failed. Honestly, I think they all failed Gypsy. I think her mom did. I think her dad did. I think the system did. I think they all failed her at different times.
Yeah, night convos. I think that's actually one way that they could do it too. There's so many different ways that it can, like, some people can literally, they can have a perfectly healthy child and they do something, and some of them, they do have underlining things. A lot of, like, I agree with you, Amy. I do, and I also think that it would really I think this is my opinion, and I know this is the opinion of a lot of people, not just in Gypsy's family, but friends of Dee Dee's family, like believe that she, because it worked at first, like she presented, this stuff to Rod when Gypsy was born, and then Rod got back with her at when she was 3 months old, but then it wasn't for long though. He left her, but like I think that she was trying to get Rod's attention, like, maybe he'll stay with me if I have
Probably.
a sick child. And then that didn't happen. And I think that it just continued. I think if you ever notice pictures of Dee Dee and like say when they went to go visit, there's this one specifically, I've seen multiple, but there's this one that like the way that she like has her hand by his face and like you can tell that, and this is when Gypsy's much older, like she's probably at least 6 years old. And you could tell that Dee Dee was very much so still like,
probably infatuated or in love
with Rod, exactly. And I think that I think that was a way of having at that time, like she thought like having Rod in her life. And I think when it spun out of control was when her mom passed away, and I think that was losing another person. And some people react with grief differently, and some people might attach to things and grab them closer. And I think that's what she did with Gypsy, is she tugged her closer, because around that time is also when she pushed away from a lot of people. She wouldn't return phone calls as much. She kept moving further away. She was like, there was an instance where her school, the homeschooling program, I was watching Rebecca Scoops, like she said like she wanted to make sure that her father was not involved in anything. She said that she like thanked her for like the materials or whatever. She's like the father of my child, he didn't want her to go to a Christian school. And like I know for a fact that would never be true, because I know that Rod and Christy's families both are very, very much so like involved in church, and they're spiritual people. They are like, nobody's perfect, but they're more on that, like, they're Christians. I know that Rob would never be like, I do not want her to go to no Christian school. Like, he would never say that. I don't believe that's true.
I mean, people who are divorced or separated talk like shit about the opposite parent all the time, unfortunately. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, obviously.
Rod was also young. Rod was also like, yes. I mean, I have a 23-year-old son, and he's an idiot. Like, yeah, I mean, not to be offensive, but he's an idiot. Like, at 23 years old, I know Rod was like 17, right?
Yeah, 17 when they got married. I guess probably 18 when she was born. So yes, like Ozzy said, I think Rod should have been more involved, like he was with other children. I mean, I agree, and Rod would say the same. But I also know that parent alienation is a real thing. I mean, my dad, I didn't meet my dad until I was 10, and my mom, like, and he wasn't always the best when he first came around either, because like it's like out of sight, out of mind almost, and that the mother's taking care, like, and I'm not excusing him. This is just a real thing, and you almost give up, like, in a way, like when there's no communication, it's like you always, you have to go through Dee Dee, and then sometimes she's not answering. They've gone out there to visit her, and then they just completely ghost him. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't have kept trying, but it isn't uncommon for a parent in those situations to kind of like, whatever, it is what it is, basically. And then he worked a lot, and so he would even say that he doesn't excuse himself. He has, I wouldn't say regrets, because he doesn't like one thing I've learned about Rod is that he's a very like move forward person, and he doesn't want to dwell. All he can do now is build a relationship with Gypsy, which she has. But yeah, of course, like, he should have done more. Everybody should have done more. Every single part. I mean, there was people that Gypsy actually literally told, like, not everything is is what it looks like. I'm not really disabled or sick or whatever she said. The lady, there's a witness statement from her, and the lady just. For me, I was thinking to myself when I read that, how I don't even know how you can give that statement knowing that like Gypsy told you that and you did nothing. And it's not just her. I think it's collectively a lot of people's fault. It's not just goes on one person. But if somebody told me that, if somebody was in a wheelchair and she told the same person like a year later that she would do anything to get away from her mom, and still like this lady never did anything. It is sad. And this, when she ran away to Dan's house, she was telling the people there, and they're the ones that called. Somebody there called this lady. Her name's Shelly. She used to be involved with the convention, and she knew Dee Dee. They actually called Shelly, and Shelly got in touch with Dee Dee, and that's how Dee Dee found out where Gypsy was. Like, even every single person in her life failed her, literally. And that's why I do think it's sad that people, for two different reasons. I think it's sad that people invalidate Gypsy because this is her life that she had to live. And I know I wouldn't want to live that life. And then also, it's sad because of all the other victims. I think it waters down how serious a mental illness like this could be, and how there are so many people around the world that we probably wouldn't even imagine. Like, it's known as, I mean, it's said to be rare, but that's only because there's so little on it, because it's a disorder built on deception. So it goes underdiagnosed and undetected. And I mean, I think about that guy that last year that was found, he burned down his own house to get out of his room. And I know this wasn't Munchausen by proxy, but it's a very similar situation where he was in his room, only able to get out to do chores since he was 14 years old, and he was 30-something years old. And it's such a sad freaking story. And his dad, he used to get out of his room more often until his dad died, which was a year before he burned the house. And he was, so like this, and no, he didn't go unalive his stepmom. He could have maybe chose to do that. No, he didn't choose to do that. But he was completely isolated. He didn't talk to anybody. But he figured, you know what? I don't want to live this life anymore. I'm either gonna get out, like, or I'm gonna die in the fire, like, and it'll be all over, you know. And I think when people act like none of this is possible, it really is a disservice to what's actually is possible and very possible and happens every single day, and we just don't even know it.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen every single day.
It's more complex than people make it out to be.
Younger people. It happens all the time.
Especially the older people, too. Like elderly
well, and
people.
as far as people coming at you with, you know, like, well, she had this and she grew out of it, that could be totally true. But if she grew out of it, then she should have maybe had more freedom.
Exactly. People reached out to Dee Dee and told them, you should let Gypsy, out more and let her be free. And she blocked all those people on Facebook that messaged her that.
Yeah. Well, and all the questions about the baby, I think, are just gross. I mean, the only thing I ever talked about with the baby, I talked to Raina, I don't know if it was right before or right after she had the baby, on Morbid's panel. Only time I've been up there. Mm-hmm. And all I said was, I hope that they have the baby tested, and I hope that they go through, like, in vitro or whatever if they're going to have another child, because I have a child who's more affected than Gypsy is. And that's always a possibility. If you have a microdeletion and you have children and you don't do IVF and, like, sort out the ones that don't have the microdeletion.
I know, and luckily she got lucky, I don't know if you call it
maybe
lucky.
she totally got lucky, but her child, if she had naturally, might not get lucky. Because my son is pretty affected.
That's the reason I thought it was so weird, because Audrey said, if Gypsy, if the microdeletion did nothing to Gypsy, I mean, if she, like, barely has anything from it, then why is she so worried about her child getting in? Like,
it doesn't work that way.
That's so ignorant. Like, she does not want to have a child, like, naturally. She wants to go through IVF if she has a child again. She doesn't want to chance, her child getting it and not being able to live a normal life like she shouldn't be able to, but like she's able to now. And
right, it makes no sense to me when people say dumb shit like that.
Yes, I'm like, what do you mean? Why should she care? I'm like, because it's literally no two people are the same with a microdeletion or a chromosome disorder. Like, literally, not even people can have the same symptoms from it and it's still different. It doesn't show the same in that person, That's what makes them so difficult sometimes, because there's such a wide range of how the person is affected by the microdeletion. It can be as small as just a teeny little difference. Exactly.
And they can have a bigger complication.
I don't know if you're in here still, but Mod 789. Did you just come in here, or did you get to listen to anything? Because you wanted me to make a video, which I'm not. I'm debunking stuff, but I don't know if you just came in. But no, and I'm glad that you are able. Like, this is the problem I have with the con port. Like, as far as Gypsy being involved. For me, I truly believe that you cannot like grow up like being taught certain behaviors, and just because you went to sleep and you were 17 and woke up and was 18, you suddenly are able to navigate life differently, and now you are officially choosing to do whatever your mom has basically trained you to do your entire life.
She didn't really know any different. If you think about it, she really didn't know anything different. So for her to continue on with the lie and say that she, pretend like she was afflicted or younger or whatever.
I think it's all she did, to be honest. And I think when her mom started noticing that she was, because she did try to like basically like she was starting to be a little rebel in a way, and her mom was getting frustrated with her, like she snuck out that time and she got in trouble for that. A lot of people don't.
She was like any young girl. I got pregnant at 15. I had my child at 16, my oldest child. So I snuck out.
I can't stand when people say, "Oh, Dee Dee was just trying to keep her daughter from being with older men." But here's the thing: Gypsy was a grown woman, and that should never be her mother's choice. Even if that was, but that's not necessarily the case, because it wouldn't have mattered how old the man was. Even if
I never shot my mom. I'm just saying that.
Well, I don't agree that what she did was right either. I don't. Yeah. I'm not a Gypsy supporter. I'm not like
no. I think what she did was wrong too.
At all.
But I don't think that that means that she wasn't abused. Even if her mother, even if the reason behind it, Dee Dee did have health issues of her own as well. But that doesn't, to me, change much of anything.
Well, and like you said, she was groomed probably, and she didn't know any different life than going with that storyline and with what her mom was doing. She didn't know any different. She had some contact with like Rod and Christy, but it was mostly her mom.
Right, and I think she really tried. Like, what I mean by try is like, any way she could, anyway. Like, so like trying to have a boyfriend and like the reason when she went home and her mom caught her at Dan's. She left with her mom because her mom said if she tried staying, she was like, I can stay if I want to. I know that you've been lying about my age, which her mother still tried to deny to her. But her mother said, look, if you come back with me, I'll let you see him. And she was like, okay. Like, because, okay, well, if that's the case, like she doesn't have the normal mind at that time of like just a normal 18-year-old. She's thinking, okay, because she loves her mom. She doesn't want to hurt her mom. So she's like, okay, well, if she's going to let me start like being able to be a woman, then okay, like I can, okay, let's see if we can work this out. Well, then that wasn't exactly what happened though. That's what her mom said would happen. And of course that's all, well, that's what Gypsy said, which is fine. You don't have to believe her. But I mean, at the end of the day, technically, at that age, it shouldn't have even been a discussion.
Yeah.
I don't know who removed you. But, and I don't know, that's why it's like, it doesn't mean that Dee Dee's up. To me, the way people, and I don't even think they realize they're doing it, the way people paint this picture actually makes Dee Dee, from a logical view, look like more of a monster than what she was. I think that Dee Dee did love Gypsy. I think that she loved her almost in a way where it was like, not the way that you should love a child, almost like she treated Gypsy almost like a possession rather than her own person. But only, not because, I don't think it was ever because she wanted to hurt Gypsy, so to speak. I think it's unexplainable. The mind, when you have a mental illness, you do things that a normal person that doesn't have that would never do. Like, a normal mother is not going to do what Dee Dee did. A normal mother that doesn't have, like, and I don't know how anybody can justify, it doesn't mean that Dee Dee should have died the way she did. She shouldn't have. And that's when it comes to the Nick side, which a lot of people, okay, Allison, you was up here for a long time, so I don't think that it was, but anyways, I think that when it comes to Nick, a lot of people, man, that's a subject that's really hard to touch on because people get very, I don't understand why sometimes, but the research, man, there's so much when it comes to Nick, there's so much that I have not talked on. And when I tell you, I've done, so much deep research on.
I bet. I hope he never gets out, but that's just me. I think he needs
either. I think he's
counseling or therapy or something, but I don't think he should ever get out.
No, I do. I think that Gypsy never asked anyone before she met Nick to do that. And regardless of what people want to believe or not, I totally believe that it was his influence that even made Gypsy feel comfortable to ask him to do something like that. I think it was the stuff that he was into, and and that's just what it is. I can candy coat it, but like I've been doing that for 2 years almost because everybody gets so defensive with it. But
they were a bad combination.
Yes, they were
from the start. How about, does that make it sound better?
I guess I know. I try to because sometimes I want to do a breakdown of the research I've done, but sometimes I don't. I think it's important only because it, like, to me, I feel like I've spoken to people who are part of the autism community, and the way that people have painted this when it comes to Nick, to me, is very insulting to that community. I think it makes it. How do I say this? I think if anything contributed to his autism, I think it was his hyperfixation on Gypsy. 100%. I think it was his hyperfixation, whatever, on corn, and specifically like very violent grape corn. I think that had a lot to do with his mental, like his psyche. I think that him isolating himself in his room a lot, playing video, like I think there's a lot, like I think that his family, well, I used to think his family never did enough, but the more research I do, I think for the mental side, no, they didn't. But like as far as like resources and education and stuff like that, like that's actually like they actually did a lot. He was in a lot of different programs his entire life, and I didn't know that until I did further research. And that's why it's actually pretty important to do research, because a lot of people make a lot of assumptions. And then also, I was listening to the psych evaluation of both Nick's lawyer, Nick's expert, and then the prosecution's expert. And oh my God, what a contrast difference! Like when I tell you, like, no wonder why. I mean, the prosecution 100% had the better expert. They really did. Like when I say he went into, I don't know, it makes me think that his assessment to me was 100% accurate, whereas the other experts, his was so vague, and he also wanted up that the prosecution had is that their expert found like major errors, and this isn't by opinion, this is like fact, major errors in his scoring. And I truly believe, like, I heard on Rebecca Scoop's video, I'm just going to say it, like, she said, she was like, and they were just paid to say he has autism 1. No, I believe both of them were paid. They get paid. But I absolutely think, and they do this. They're going to, they want the defense. They're trying to, the trial, in my opinion, wasn't unfair. And the reason I say that is because of the documents that were FOIA requested. If you read through them, it gives you a clear answer as to why it wasn't unfair. And one thing I will say is that the expert for him, for the prosecution, like, I'm sorry, but Nick has autism 1. And you want to know why I stand on that? Not only because of the scoring from that expert, but because, okay, so when Asperger's went from Asperger's to autism, that's what it if you had Asperger's, in 2013, anyone who had Asperger's was then diagnosed with autism 1. Right. That's how it went. Like, it is like almost unheard of for someone with Asperger's in 2013 because of the switch that went to autism 2. the percentiles that he was landing in, and that's the thing, the defense is expert. Y'all would have to watch it. I'm telling you, I watched this last night again. I don't know what made me do it. I think Becca Scoop's video, actually. And it is like, I've even had, sat there and wrote a whole outline of all of this, and it's like, I probably will never present it. I know it must be worth it. What? You are the talk of the town. How is that? Wait, hold on. Let me read what she said. Say, I didn't, but I was listening, didn't need to make room for anyone. Alex, do you want to come up or something? But night combos, if you want me to, night combos, I'm not going to do it on TikTok because it's worse there. Well, actually, it's worse everywhere. I can maybe turn the comments off. I don't know. I can give you my base, and this isn't based off of my opinion at all, by the way. I can give you a breakdown of you know how that 417 page document? Well, I took the last 100 with the conclusions. It's like the facts and conclusions of the claims, and break that down to and it gives. I mean, when I tell you like very clear explanations of why each of his claims were denied, I can do that. I mean, I wasn't going to because I get just attacked every time I fucking talk about any of this shit. Well, tonight has been kind of nice. I mean, I don't know how the comments have been. I've been looking at them, but I am able to have conversations. Some people think I can't for some reason, and
I think it's really sad that people who have a different opinion on one thing maybe can't have a conversation. It's not that hard.
At the end of the day, the conversation can still be a really important one, because even if you take Gypsy out of the equation, the stuff that we're talking about are real things that like need awareness.
Yeah, I agree. And when I said in the comments that maybe you should focus on other cases, the only reason I'm saying that is because at least people in this group, the sphere, whatever, already have like a bias.
Yeah.
And have their minds made up about what they think about Gypsy.
I actually am. I'm gonna. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Like, they already have their minds made up, whether it's good for Gypsy, bad for Gypsy, whatever. You hate Gypsy, they already have their mind made up. So by you doing it, it's not going to really convince anybody else or teach
Very
anybody
few,
else.
if anything. I do believe that there are some open-minded people that can listen and honestly see things that they weren't able to see before. But I know that most won't, because it just is what it is. But but I know with other sometimes maybe it'll take another case to be able to understand things better. And then who knows? I mean, the goal isn't to convince people when it comes. I mean, at the end of the day, Gypsy's out of prison. She's free. She's living her own life. It doesn't really matter. I mean, really, Gypsy doesn't owe anybody anything, you know? So, I mean, actually, public opinion to be public opinion. That's one period, you know? Like, would it be nice to see less people invalidating her? Yeah, it would. But, I mean, it is what it is. But I think it's important for people to understand.
I'm only coming from a place of, like, if you're passionate about Munchausen by proxy in general, right?
Yeah.
Not just in Gypsy's case, but in general, that you would reach a better, wider audience.
Yeah,
if it wasn't just Gypsy. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that to shit on Gypsy. I'm just saying, like,
I know.
a lot of people already have their idea of what they think. And just be like, I don't want to hear about Gypsy. She's an evil person, whatever it is. Whereas if you come at it different, you might be able to open some people's minds.
Right, because I really want to talk about Julie Gregory, because she is the perfect example of how, like, just because someone wasn't diagnosed with something doesn't mean it doesn't exist in that case. Like, her mother was never diagnosed, and she is a huge advocate, and she consults with hospitals, with schools. She speaks at medical conferences, and she is considered a survivor of Munchausen by proxy, and her mother was never diagnosed. And, you know, it just goes to show you that, like, I mean, most people don't get diagnosed because, okay, the child either dies or they get away with it, basically, or in some cases the child is grown, like in Julie Gregory's case, is grown, and when she realizes this, and it's so crazy. This happened with, like, Kate. So if you are out of, like, say if you're an adult and you're out of that situation and you find out years later, you know, that that's what the case is, your mother, they have to like basically agree to go to a psychiatrist or whatever and get diagnosed. Like they have to agree to that. They're not forced to do it because you're no longer in their care. So there's so many people who never will get actual justice for what they went through. It's not like getting great and then like, you know, you have so many years to do that. It's not the same. Just like if a child gets beat their whole life and you finally say something, I mean, there's really no going back, you know, and there's no justice, and it's really sad. But
well, I also know what it's like to be abused by someone that says they love you, and to all outside people make this big gesture like they love you.
Yeah.
But they're really abusing you.
Right. And they love you in a twisted way too, but
yeah, right. That was my ex-husband. So I get it from that perspective too. I really do. But nobody was there. The only people there were Gypsy and her mom. So I can't ever say one way or another, you know, what actually happened.
The fullness of everything, but the reason I feel confident when I say Gypsy was abused is because I can never imagine why a parent would ever make their child sit in a wheelchair, put diapers on their child, you know, shave their child's head for no reason. Like, and I also hear stories from Gypsy, you know, and like, I'm not going to there's never been anything that Gypsy has told me that I've going on to like through research found out was not true. If anything, I've always been validated by different things I found. And like one of the saddest stories to me is like her mom making her like telling her to give her her teeth and like taking her teeth from her, taking her wig, you know, and telling her to look in the mirror and being like, look at you, like no one is ever gonna love you but me. Like you're never like that is psychologically tormenting for a young woman who is like almost in their young adulthood. I mean, is a teenager,
right,
wanting to be a woman, wanting to feel love. Like that's what she was wanting and longing for at that moment. Anyway, everybody's like, she killed her mom for dick. She should have never had to kill her mom for dick. She should have been able to have dick if she wanted it. Like period on that. So I hate when people say that because it's like, what do you mean? Like the fact that she even, if that's what like. To say that that's what it's for is ridiculous. It was to be a woman, to be free. But to say that it's for that, like you have to dig a little bit deeper than that.
I was going to say, I think that's a pretty surface explanation.
Yeah, it's so surface because, like, okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. Why should
Well, and part of it is true. She wanted freedom. She wanted to have boyfriends.
Right, it's more than just that,
life.
though.
Yeah, I know what they say, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, like I couldn't imagine like wanting to have that, not being able to, and like, I mean, no, of course not unaliving your mom at that time either. Like she's trying to figure out, like the way that Gypsy described to me one time was like she almost felt like her and her mom, like now she's looking back, thinking like it was like a toxic marriage. Like it's like you're there, you love her, and like you want to just break free, but it's like you feel like you can't, like you feel like you can't leave. And it's almost like feeling stuck. Like, you know, there's those marriages where you just don't leave, even though you know you should. And that's why it psychologically fucks with your head. It's like, why don't you just walk out? And it's like, it's not that easy. And and I don't know. That's why I wish Gypsy did, like the way that the talks that me and Gypsy has had. I think if people could hear her and just wait for a second, just don't yell judgment at her. Just let her speak through her heart, through her memory as best as she could, and just through her like looking back now, just really speak. I really think they would see Gypsy and understand Gypsy in a whole different way. Because, and she's so, like, she gives her mom, and I know she is the one who asked someone to unalive her mother, but regardless of that, her mother still did what she did, and, like, she gives her mom so much grace, more than what people actually think. Like, and I know, yes, well, she should, because look what she did to her. Yeah, but again, like, I don't like to think on a very surface level. I like to go a lot deeper than that, and, I don't know, like even the people in her life that failed her, like I'll be like, why didn't she? And I remember I was asking like, why would these people not, I mean, why would they not help you rather than call your mom? And she's like, I just remember like something was going on, and like she was just really stressed, and I'm just like, she's just making up all these excuses as to why this woman, like this woman and these guys there wouldn't just like help her. And I'm just like, you are just way too forgiving, because I mean, I would think like, why the fuck would these people call my mother when that's where I'm escaping? But she sees everyone's perspective. She understands, like, just like that's why she understands why some people are never going to support her. She understands that the things that Gypsy comments back to is when people comment on her medical history, she just recently, every once in a while, will like say something back. And I think it's because, you know, we all have a medical history. And it's private. It's ours. It's not for the world to see. Technically, hers is it's supposed to be like that for her. I know people feel entitled to it because she was, committed. I mean, she was, sentenced for murder. But at the end of the day, no one really does. Like Fancy illegally leaked those. She shouldn't even have them still. She was supposed to give them back, and she refused to. Gypsy spent $10,000 on a lawsuit that was filed in the wrong jurisdiction. Hopefully one day she'll file it again. Who knows? But that's a lot of money to spend for it to like not even be done right. And like, she has a right to like defend her medical history that people only have a very small the paper, the documents that like people have due to Fancy like are just like a freaking, it's like a handful compared to like what is actually there. So when people speak on her records, I mean, that's your medical history. That's something that truly does belong to you, and there's so much more that goes to it than just reading a piece of paper. Like especially by people that aren't medical professionals, and they're just putting their own twists and spins on it. And some of them might not even be malicious. Some people like truly just read it for what they think it is. But they don't realize that like it's a pretty, imagine your medical records being taken and like people just reading them however they want to, So I feel like she has a right to respond back to that. But aside from the medical stuff, aside from all of that, if people just heard Gypsy, like her heart, and when she speaks about her experience, like for me, in my opinion, she does like, I've had so many different conversations with her, and when I say she is remorseful, she truly is. But not only that, but she lives with that shit. That's her, how like she didn't spend life in prison. Her mind is forever, there's a prison in her mind, and it's always going to be there. And she still hears shit. She has nightmares weekly. Like, this isn't,
hopefully she's getting a lot of therapy.
Yeah, she does. And that's another thing I hate, when people say that she's not in therapy, or she chose not to be in therapy after she got out of prison. She had to be in therapy. What do you mean? Like, yes, she was in therapy when she was released from prison. It was literally a part of her probation. And now she actually is in more therapy than what she was even before. She chooses that, and she doesn't have to, but she enjoys. She goes to therapy weekly, and she goes to two different kind of therapies. I know that's no one's business, but I'm just being honest. That's what she does. Like, she constantly is working on herself, and it does suck as her friend to know things that people don't know, and to see people think they know so much, and when they don't. And it's frustrating, because I know how hard she is constantly trying to grow as a human being, and she wants to be the best mother that she could be for Aurora. And that's all which I'm so glad that's what she's focused on, and that's all she needs to worry about. And
it's also natural to want to defend your friend.
Yeah, and she does, and she has even more than just me, And I'm glad that I built the community. Well, I say we, the people that's part of it, built it, because she has all of them too. And at the end of the day, I think people need to remember that even if your opinion might be different than what, say, mine is, or what Gypsy believes to be the truth, at the end of the day, like, no one can know for sure, and Gypsy is a human being, and so is Dee, but so is Gypsy, and you don't know. Like, that's one thing Lindsay, when she came to me, I remember we was talking, and she was apologizing for all this stuff, and then randomly, I wasn't expecting it, she was just like, Brie, what if I'm wrong? And that's the question I always like to ask is, I know I couldn't live with knowing that I was just a big bully to somebody and then I was wrong this whole time. She just broke down and she's like, what if I'm wrong? And I think that was the moment that she really humanized Gypsy. And she realized that, like, I don't really know what I think I know. Like, I mean, who's to say that this, and that is wrong or not? Like, you know, and she's like, and here I am just, like, doing all these horrible things to her. And, you know, it really, I think that came from her own brokenness that she was going through. And it made her be able to see Gypsy as a human, because she knew herself as a human was literally breaking and had reached rock bottom. And sometimes it really takes that for people, like, to see things in a different way. And
aren't we all kind of broke people?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, that's why I appreciate, like, Lindsay so much, and I'm really proud of her that she didn't let, like, the hate, you know, make her pretty much go into sheep mode and just follow what these people want her to do. And, you know, she just proudly is herself now, and I'm proud of her. And regardless of what anybody thinks about her, I will tell you, she's one of the most, I've never had an apology like the one she gave me from anyone in my entire life. It was so genuine, and so, like, she took more accountability than I feel like she probably even needed to. And yeah, it was, I don't know. I just feel like at the end of the day, that's what a lot of people, that's
well, and she's in a better place for herself, you know.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And that's what you need to focus on, honestly. Also know that, yes, his appeal.
Usually apologizing you do for yourself.
Yep. I always say that. It's for your own self, which is why people that I know that just hold on to this, like, this grudge or whatever they have, and I'm like, I'm telling you, you don't have to forget it, but if you forgive that person, and of course you have to mean it, you have to truly mean it, because if not, what is it going to, you know, it's not going to do anything. But if you forgive that person, the peace that's going to come over you is going to be worth it. Like, you just gotta move. That's the only way you can move on from it, really, truly, is if you forgive, because you let go of it. When you don't forgive someone, it just stays lingering inside of you.
I mean, I'm not a Gypsy, like, creator. I don't have any. I think I may have one 420 Mimi, but it was her doing Ryan.
Yeah.
She was pretending to be Ryan. I think I had that one thing on my account, but I'm not a content creator, so I never really got into too much of that, you know, right, attacking her or anything like that.
Right.
I just, I don't know. I do think, though, that you seem so passionate, Bree, about changing minds and opening people's minds. And I know that you could probably reach more people if you weren't talking about Gypsy. That's not, it sounds bad. I know
what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because most people have their mind set already.
Which is, I think that makes me sad for society. I think that's what it is.
For sure.
Overall. I think it's really sad for anybody. Like, because today, if somebody was, which I know that it could never happen, I'm talking about in the case of Gypsy, let's say someone was to be able to show, like, I don't even know what they'd be able to show me, or show me anything to prove that. I know that, to me, I am confident that that's impossible, but that's why it's really bad to use this as an example. But so I would have to think of something else, but because it's real, like, I'm so confident when it, like, I can even confidently say that I know more about this case than most people who speak about it.
I believe that.
And I wouldn't just say that. I'm not somebody who has all this confidence. I'm not someone like that, but I will confidently say, and sometimes I wish I didn't, because it makes me even more passionate, because I just hate the misinformation that I see. And, like, Gypsy is a human being. And, like, I'll say it again, Ira Rose Knows said it best. Bree sees Gypsy as a human being. I saw this as content. And she couldn't have said it better. And I respect her so much for just saying that out loud, because most people wouldn't admit that. And yeah, like, that's exactly what, like, I see Gypsy as a human being, which is what made me speak on her in the first case before I even knew her. And but no, I do want to talk about I think that's the issue I've been having lately. I just, like, there's content I want to do, and, like, I know, but I'll look up these different things. Like, I was going to do some content on Ed Gein, which I do still want to, because it's very interesting, but it's like my heart is just, it's like my heart. It's like I'm taking steps, but my heart's like staying back, and it's really really frustrating because I don't want it to be that way. Like I want to be able to move on and like close this chapter, but it really is hard because I do feel like there was a huge missed opportunity for awareness to be made around.
I think that's true, but also, Brie, I think that if Gypsy is your friend, she wants you to move on.
I know she does. I think she does too.
Just for you, just for you, not even for her. And I think it's sad that people can't have conversations like we're having.
I know it is, because I think it's always been possible too. I think that it's just like, and I'm not going to say it was all everybody else's fault and none of mine. I think it's a mixture of both. I think that I can get really passionate, and I don't like people that are condescending, and I don't like ignorance, and I feel like I got met with that a lot of times, and or like even someone, like if I'm getting a little like say my voice is raising, which happens because I'm passionate about this, and people automatically assume I'm being aggressive or angry or mad. That is triggering, just like it would be with anybody. When you know who you are and you know that you're not being aggressive, it's just the way that you talk, especially when you're passionate about something. So, and people have loved, people love to try to trigger me.
They bait you.
They get a kick out of it. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was watching a live last night where they were listening to different clips of me, and it's like that brought them joy to see me to hear me be upset. And like, it's so weird to me for someone to like, find joy in that. I don't know.
Yeah, you shouldn't be watching stuff like that.
Well, I didn't realize it was going to turn into that, but it
It's
did.
not good for anybody's psyche, to watch
luckily, I'm
other people
really
watching
numb to
them
a
be
lot of
upset.
this, to be honest.